Hello and welcome to the Kia Oval for this Vitality Blast fixture between Surrey and the Blaze. It's a beautiful evening here in South London for this top of the table clash. Kevin Hand spoke to Surrey bowlers Rihanna McDonald Gay out in the middle, but first, news from the toss.
Well, a very good evening, everybody, and welcome out to the middle here at the Kia Oval. Ahead of this T20 Blast, we'll be with the umpires and the captains in the middle for just a moment for the toss. They're still going through their pleasantries at the moment and getting their exchanges done, but we'll join them for the toss of the coin. Glorious sunny evening here for this one. Surrey are 4 from 4 in the competition, and it looks like we're nearly ready to go with the toss. So, folks in the middle, over to you. It looks like Bryony has the coin. Heads is the call. And it's the tails. Bryony, if we could turn to you first. You've won the toss. What have you elected to do?
We're going to have a bowl.
You're going to have a bowl. Tell us why.
I think it's a good ground to chase at. Obviously a rapid outfield. New pitch as well, so we want to have first dibs at it.
Things are obviously going very well for you at the moment. 4 from 4. Expecting much of the same tonight?
Hopefully, yeah. We've had a really good start. Put in some pretty special performances so far, especially the other day out here. So, yeah, looking to go 5 from 5 today. What's
been the key to the form so far?
I think just we all trust what we do. Everyone knows they can go out and play with freedom, and we know it can be a silly game at times. But yeah, thankfully it's all gone our way so far. So we'll see what happens.
Always a tough one for a skipper to remember at the toss, but I've got to ask you, any changes?
No, same team.
Easy question then, isn't it? Thanks for your time. Well done. Good luck tonight. Kirsty, if we can call you over. Lovely to see you. You didn't win the toss. What would you have done?
We would have probably had a bowl as well, but to be honest, the pitch looks an absolute belter, so I don't think we're too disappointed.
Absolute belter. It's an absolute belter of a match tonight as well, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I've been going well, and we feel like we're in a really good place. We obviously had a bit of a thriller in the 50 over comp at the start of the season, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of runs had tonight as well.
How big a match is this? You're right on their tails coming into it.
Yeah, I don't think it's, to be honest, any bigger than any other game. It's all about accumulating as many points as you can and getting yourself in a good position for finals day. So yeah, absolutely, we want to win, but we go into every match probably with the same mindsets and attitude.
Any team news, any changes that you can tell us of?
Yeah, so Maddie Green's gone home. We've got Heather Graham back with us. I think that's the only change from our washout on Saturday.
Brilliant. Lovely to see you again. Thanks for your time. Cheers, good luck tonight. There we go. That's the toss in the middle. Surrey have won it. Do join us again in a little while for more of the information out in the middle. Well, thanks very much. Delighted to say I'm joined down here pitchside by Rihanna McDonald Gay. Delighted to have you with us. It's a lovely sunny day, that's first and foremost here, isn't it, is the weather, but also it's 4 from 4 from Surrey and looking to make it 5 from 5 today.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we're on a really good roll and we've been performing really well as a squad. So, yeah, hopefully today we can make it 5 from 5.
What's been the secret of the roll?
I think just everyone pitching in. I think bowlers have done their jobs, batters have batted phenomenally, and we've done some really good fielding. So I think that's just a team effort.
2 of the 4 victories have come here at the Kia Oval, last up against Durham. Pretty happy with the performance in that one? You picked up the opening pair, of course, in that.
Yeah, really happy. I mean, felt really good, and it's always brilliant to play here at this ground. I mean, definitely helps you out when you bowl and when you bat. But yeah, no, it was brilliant performance from the girls. Brian, Danny, they smashed it with the batting, and all the bowlers chipped in, and it was brilliant.
You picked up the top 2, as I say. How's it coming out for you at the moment?
Yeah, good. I mean, I was really happy with the 2 wickets I got in the last game. I've been feeling really good recently, so that's just the main thing to keep going.
And it was obviously good to restrict them, 141. What did you feel at the time? Was 141 a restriction? Obviously, the batters, as you say, blazed their way away, but from Surrey at the halfway point, were you thinking, yeah, we've done a pretty good job on this, or was it in the balance at that stage?
No, I feel like, we still had the second half of the job to do, but I think that's pretty a par score here at the Oval. It's very high scoring runs, very easy to pick up boundaries quickly, so I think that we thought that we could get it. Big
clash today coming into this one. What's the chat been ahead of this game?
Yeah, just focus on what we do well, put our best out there, and I think that hopefully we'll get the win.
Is this going to be the biggest challenge so far?
I think definitely, yeah. They've done really well and they've come off the back of a lot of wins, so I think it'll be a very competitive game today.
You'll focus on yourself, of course. What will be that key focus for Surrey?
Yeah, definitely, as I say, just team performances, everyone chipping in, doing your job well, and I think that's all that you can ask for.
Pretty central pitch again today. You expecting something similar to last up?
Yeah, I think so. I think it should be a great wicket, always is. So yeah, we'll just see how it plays.
Rihanna McDonald Gay, thanks very much for your time. Much appreciated. Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Rihanna McDonald Gay there speaking with Kevin Hand. So, the teams, to recap the news from the middle. Surrey won the toss and chose to bowl. Their team will run through their 11. Opening the batting will be Bryony Smith and Danny Wyatt Hodgej. Grace Harris will be at 3, most likely. They do like to shuffle the pack on occasion. Paige Schofield at 4, Kira Chatley, Tash Farrant, Kalia Moore, Phoebe Franklin, Rihanna McDonald Gay, Danny Gregory, Tilly Courtine Coleman making up the 11. We'll find out what exact order they come out to bat in due course. But batting first will be the Blaze. They've got 2 changes to their 11 from their last outing. Heather Graham, the Australian international, comes in for Maddie Green, whose stint as the overseas has come to an end. And Charlie Phillips, the fast bowler, is in for Grace Ballinger. Running through from top to bottom, that makes their team Georgia Elwis, Marie Kelly, Catherine Bryce, her sister Sarah Bryce, one below her, Heather Graham, Ella Claridge, Michaela Kirk, Kirsty Gordon, Josie Groves, Cassidy McCarthy and Charlie Phillips. My name is Cameron Ponsonby. I'm joined by Wisden's Katya Witney for this top of the table clash. Both these teams are unbeaten in this competition so far. Katya, tell me you're excited. I'm excited.
Very excited. Last time we saw these two teams, it was that amazing game at Beckenham. Yeah, very excited. Blaze, of course, last year's Charlotte Edwards Cup winners. Very good in this format of the game, but Surrey, 4 wins from 4. Blaze unbeaten, but they had that tie first up, and then they had that abandoned that washout game. Yep, you're right, and 2 wins in between. So likely that one of those sides will remain one of the sides will remain unbeaten at the end of this game. One of them won't. So it's very exciting. It's a beautiful evening. South London. Just popped across the river. Had a lovely walk over.
We've had a lovely day, me and you. We've done both the grounds in London. We spent the day at Lord's for the World Test Championship final. We're spending the evening here at the Kia Oval. You can see there your Surrey team. If you are a Surrey supporter, of course. If you're a Blaze supporter, you might be watching the enemy run out. But Surrey are making their way out onto the pitch. They've been somewhat of an unstoppable force so far in this competition. 4 wins from 4. And as Katya mentioned, the last time these two teams played each other was at Beckenham in the One Day Cup in an absolute run fest. It was 346 all. And Surrey benefited from a century by Alice Capsey, who, fingers crossed, will be joining us in the commentary booth later on today to say hello. See there. The Blazers opening batters, Georgia Elwis on the right, Marie Kelly on the left.
Georgia Elwis played a brilliant innings the last time these two sides met in the Metrobank One Day Cup. Down the order, she's opening in the T20 format. Scored 80 odd in that game at very decent strike rate. Some of the boundaries she hit, obviously Beckenham a small ground, but well over that boundary rope. Now she joining the Blaze from Vipers last year. She's really bedded in as the senior player in that batting order.
She absolutely has, and it looks like Rihanna McDonald Gay is going to take the new ball once more. We've seen Surrey chop and change their kind of tactics at the top of the order. Kalia Moore has opened the bowling on occasion this season with her off breaks, but McDonald Gay was fantastic over the weekend against Durham, claiming 2 key wickets in Susie Bates and Maddie Villiers. The 2 Durham openers dismissed clean bowled. And an important thing to note is these two teams in their previous iterations were the finalists in last year's Charlotte Edwards Cup. So the Blaze beat South East Stars, and now the South East Stars have not directly become Surrey, but I think you can make the leap in your imagination to understand that process. But it will be McDonald Gay to open the bowling. She has her 2 fielders out at deep third, deep square leg, and she's getting us underway. Just sneaks down leg side to begin. I don't know how much of Sunday you got to see, Katya, but McDonald Gay seemed to have really found her rhythm. She was bowling fast and she was bowling straight.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've spoken about a lot so far this season is Rihanna McDonald Gay's kind of evolution from that stint she had with England over the winter. Just another one down the leg side there. Just a couple of looseners. But spending that time over the winter, both with England and working with Chris Guest up in Loughborough. And I do wonder sometimes whether too much is tried to add to a bowler's arsenal too soon. Rihanna McDonald Gay, of course, still very young in cricketing terms. Well, in every term, particularly in women's cricketing terms. And sometimes I think if you try and add too many tricks.
Oh, she just missed in the other direction. There's been a loose start here from McDonald Gay. 3 wides to begin this evening's action.
Yeah, just struggling to find her radar. Perhaps straining too hard for that extra yard of pace you were talking about.
Oh, we've just been talking about how straight she was bowling. She started with 3 wides, which isn't helpful. I'm sure she will zone in due course.
That'll be another wide.
Well, McDonald Gay will just need to shake off any early match nerves here.
Yeah, but once you bowl that second one, it's quite hard to get out of that headspace, especially first up. Just taking the pace off, slowing it down, bit of a conversation, get the heart rate down. There we go, that's better.
On the money there from McDonald Gay, and Kelly gets off the mark. A single from her first legal delivery faced. Well, Marie Kelly's Cricinfo profile is a very interesting tidbit. When listing her bowling style, so this says right arm medium, right arm off break, and slow left arm orthodox. So that's 3 of the 4 possible available to her. Well, I guess out of 6, she could roll left and right arm wrist spin as well.
That'll be another wide. More intrigued by both left and right arm. It's not right arm medium, right arm off break, right arm leg break, is it? It's left and right arm.
Exactly. Might be her and Ben Kellaway from Glamorgan. Bowls with both arms.
I love that you have that straight off the top of your head.
Well, we were here. I was having a bit of a special day in the commentary box. It's a beautiful shot from Elwes. An economy of movement. Just to push through the offside. And that's 4 runs and the first boundary of the Blazers innings. It's been a healthy start for them. They're on 6 runs already off just 1 legal delivery.
Yeah, just look at the replay here. Was close to that fielder on the ring, but powerfully hit. Hit the gap perfectly. Didn't run away that quickly.
No, it didn't. It was just a push. There really wasn't much behind Elwes' shot. But once she was able to beat the ring, famously at the Oval, the square runs across the entirety of the ground. So the ball was able to keep its momentum.
Yeah, and we can see there's some quite short boundaries in place today. If you look at the gap between the ring and the down the ground shot as you're looking from here.
Well, I don't want to get distracted from Kellaway too quickly, but it's become my new fascination is Surrey's setting of boundaries. So we know that they change their boundary dimensions depending on who their opposition are. And so this is the 3rd blast game we've had here, and we've had 3 very distinctively different boundary sizes. It's another wide from McDonald Gay here. She'll just be wanting to get out of this over. We've had 3 legal deliveries. I think, well, the umpires are putting to the test their ball counters.
Yeah, but we're already at 8 deliveries for the over.
On the money that time, but from McDonald again. Beautifully played once more from Elwes. They just changed the field around after that first cover drive. They brought up deep 3rd and they stuck out deep cover points.
Yeah, and perhaps having that bit of extra protection on that boundary just to get Rihanna McDonald Gay out of this over so she's not afraid. Just throw it up there. It's great error margins.
It's a good dot ball for Surrey there. McDonald Gay just slipped down the leg side. A foot either side of Tilly Courty and Coleman at short fun. That would have been 4. I know you're dying to hear the rest of my Ben Kellaway story. We were commentating on that Metrobank One Day game when he first did it in a professional match, and I just so happened to be doing the social medias for the Metrobank One Day Cup as well. Well, they'll pinch a single in the ring there, Blaze. And the opening over comes to an end. An expensive one for Surrey. 13 for none.
Yeah, I think Rihanna McDonald Gay will be happy to get that one out of the way. Have an over to cool off a bit. As I said, get that heart rate down. Forget about what's gone. That's done. Move on. She's starting to find her radar. better towards the end of that over 3 consecutive legal deliveries to finish a single, a dot and a single. Next over's a fresh over, remove it from your mind, go again.
Well, it would be interesting to see if Bryony Smith gives her another over or potentially waits for the end of the power play when she can have that bit of extra protection. The fielders outside the ring. We are going to see spin from the other end on this occasion. Katya Moore is going to bowl from the pavilion end. And anyway,
Are we
Ben
ever going to
Kellaway.
get to hear about Ben Kellaway?
Ben Kellaway, I'm sorry. Ben Kellaway sent it down with his left arm after his right. My eyes flashed up and I knew that something special was happening, and also there was content to make as soon as I came off from my commentary stint. There we go, I hope that was worth it for everyone. More in to Kelly. It's a beautiful shot and just about fielded in the ring. I think it's Wyatt Hodgej there who put somewhat of a reluctant hand out, I'd describe that as.
Yeah, looked in a bit of pain. But did the job, got a hand to it. Tash Farrant, that was, not Wyatt Hodgej.
Oh, I don't know. Tash Farrant's at backward point. Wyatt Hodgej is a
I think they've just
the
switched.
boundary. Well, Wyatt Hodgej is now at the out on the boundary, and Tash Farrant's in at point. Tash Farrant in the game again. Tighter start to this over for Surrey. Just 1 run off the opening 2 deliveries.
Tash Farrant in action again.
Well, Tash Farrant's the only Surrey player playing at the moment. She was busy out on the boundary in the first over.
They're really enticing to go through that gap right on the offside. If you can get that, just plug that gap. Just runs on offer. Goes the other side of the wicket.
That's a better line from Moore there. Although she didn't concede many runs from her opening 3 deliveries. She was a bit wider than she would have liked to be, meaning that Tash Farrant had to do the fielding at points, otherwise had it beat her to her left or to her right. It's a chance for boundary. Good again from Moore, just 2 runs off this second over.
It's cross-batted this time, but straight to that fielder on the boundary. This is good from Surrey. They'll feel like they're pulling it back a bit from that expensive over. It's ended the over, 3 runs from it, 16 for none. I think you'd take that 2 overs into the power play, having had that expensive over first up.
No, absolutely. It's a good recovery from Surrey. The Blaze will know they have to set a big target here, and it's arguably why Surrey would have been very happy to bowl first. In their first 2 matches here, they've scored more than 10 runs and over. So anything below 200, they'll be feeling confident. Well, change of bowling for Surrey. Of course, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Tash Farrant is going to enter the attack after doing all the fielding. She's going to have a bowl as well.
1-man band. Yeah, I think you were right. Take Rihanna McDonald Gay out of the attack in this power play. Give her that extra protection. So easy when you think of what Rihanna McDonald Gay has achieved over the last year.
Well, swing on show there from Farrant. Kelly's able to take a single, but encouraging signs for the fielding team. That ball really hooped back into the right-hander.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement there. But just as I was saying, so easy to think of what Rihanna McDonald Gay's achieved over the last year and forget just how young she is, just how little cricket she's previously played compared to some of the other players on this Surrey team. Very experienced players. Just take that pressure off.
Well, that ball doesn't swing, but it is cut away to the boundary. And 3 players take off in pursuit. It'll be fielded by the cameraman on the other side of the rope. 4 runs to Georgia Elwis and the Blaze.
Yeah, I don't think she was completely in control of that Georgia Elwis, if we just look here. Yeah, I think she got more of an upper edge on it than she thought. But the result's the same, down to the boundary. Once you get over that inner ring, very little chance of stopping it going down. Running away. Almost chopped onto the stumps, I think.
Just enough movement there for the ball to take the inside edge of Georgia Elwis. Still 1 run. It's interesting how quickly conditions can change from, well, Sunday to Wednesday. On Sunday, the 3 seamers of Phoebe Franklin, Tash Farrant and Rihanna McDonald Gay hardly went for a run between them, and it was spin that was expensive. So far, just 2.5 overs in, admittedly, it's been flipped on its head. Picked up over the leg side, and that'll be 4. Seen early by Marie Kelly, picked up early, sent to the fence. And the Blaze, well, their fine start continues.
Yeah, real power there from Kelly. The boundaries we've seen so far, we had that push from Elwis in the first over down to the boundary, and then that top edge a ball or 2 ago. That's the first real power shot we've seen in front of the wicket that's gone down to the boundary.
So the shot prompts a change in the field. Cover points coming up into the ring. And the 2 fielders out on the boundary, as are allowed in the power play, long on. And cow corner, protecting that kind of hoik across the line. And Kelly immediately looks to give herself space, probably trying to go over the offside, but Tash Farrant follows her.
Yeah, that's an experienced campaigner. Surrey looking to be really proactive with their field placings here. They know how quickly these 2 could take the game away from them if they get in. Just looking to mix it up, change the field, make sure that constantly on their toes, looking for their boundary options. Can't get into that rhythm of scoring in one area.
It's a beautiful shot. And it goes all the way. 6 runs from Marie Kelly. A superb over of batting from the Blaze. 16 runs of Tash Farrant's first over. She did give herself that room to go over the offside and executed. Was able to launch that all the way over long off.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you put the fielders when you're clearing the boundary. Over the top, back to self to get the power done. Watch the ball all the way onto her bat. Beautiful shot.
Well, Marie Kelly's opportunity at the top of the order here comes because Tammy Beaumont and Amy Jones have been away on England duty. But she's been a very fine performer on the domestic circuit for a number of years now. She's had a number of starts so far across the Blast. On 15 off 10, things are looking promising. Now, another change of bowling for Surrey, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Step up to the crease. Let's bat for sustainability together.
Just looking to repeat the trick there, but didn't really have the length to do that. Yeah, it's interesting with those England players. I'm sure we'll see some of them come back in before the India series. And I think it's more of a dilemma this year with the way the changes to the schedule have worked. But when teams get into a rhythm like Surrey have, 4 matches unbeaten in the Blast, almost having those players back in, obviously they bring such a high calibre. Surrey will have Sophia Dunkley to come back in, and she's been in superb form. But you do risk disrupting the rhythm of a side that's got into quite a machinic, is that a word?
I think it could be, because I understood what you meant.
Yeah, that machinic pattern of winning. I like that.
It works for me. I'm happy. I'm all for inventing words. Elwis looks to pick up the length quickly, but just gets a little bit rushed by Corty and Coleman. It's arguably something that Surrey have to their advantage, is that of their many international players, quite a few are split between ODI and T20. They're not in both squads, so you have almost that continuity. Picked up into the leg side, and that's in the gap. Is it all the way? Yes, it is. 6 signalled by the umpire. Marie Kelly moves on to 22. This is a fabulous shot.
Yeah, all timing there. Little shuffle into the leg side, just using the angle of the ball. Straight over the rope. Surrey under pressure.
This time straight. This is beautiful batting from Kelly. Back-to-back boundaries, and the Blaze are flying here. After 4 overs, they are 45 for no loss. These two have got the away team off to a flyer.
Just watch this. Bang, straight as a die.
That's a lovely shot.
Beautiful. Hold the pose, one bounce. Doesn't get much better. But Surrey will have to have a rethink here.
It is probably the first time this season that Surrey have really been on the back foot in this competition. Been so dominant across their first 4 wins. But now, after a shaky start, well, Bryony Smith turns back to Katya Moore, who's been, well, the pick of the bowlers so far. Everyone's bowled 1 over, and her one went for 3.
Change of ends, though. For Katya Moore.
Hammered down the ground, and a misfield by Paige Schofield will mean the ball will, yes, trickle to the boundary.
Yeah, that's one of those when the batters are on top, you really need to be stopping those. And Paige Schofield will be filthy with herself for that one, because really should have stopped it. Feels like when everything's against you, those little margins in the field, they need to be spot on, and that just wasn't quite there.
That's a wonderful cricket shot. Precision and placement. There's such a narrow gap there between Bryony Smith at cover. I think it's Harris there at mid-off. He's been picked perfectly to bring up the Blaze 50.
Yeah, hopefully you can see just what an angle she had to cut there on the screen, because that was such a fine angle. A metre or so either side, and the fielder would have had an opportunity to stop it, but no chance there.
Well, we've got 4 boundaries in a row here. Still in the power play. The 2 fielders out on the boundary at long on and deep mid wicket. That's short, and that could be 4 more. Phoebe Franklin's setting off in pursuit. Will she make it? No. And the runs continue to flow at the Kia Oval.
Yeah, that gap picked beautifully again. So little space in between those 2 fielders, but just helped around the corner. Yeah, just helped on its way, cross-batted. Surrey are in trouble here. They've gone back to Katya Moore, hoping to stem the flow of runs, but 3 boundaries in a row of her first 3 balls. She needs to get out of this over, and it'll be on to plan C.
A dot ball on this occasion. Moore just changing her angle on that occasion, coming round the wicket. Not been much spin on show so far. We're on a new wicket, which actually looks like a bit of an old wicket. It's not the kind of brand, like clean white one you'll see later on in the season. Elwes down the track, making that full-length delivery a full toss.
Yeah, we're getting to that point in the season where the pitches are screaming for a bit of a break. Almost 2 months of solid action.
It would be, I guess. Yeah, well, go back to April, which is now 2 months ago, somewhat unbelievably. It's a lovely shot. I'll push the fielder at mid-off, but Smith protecting the boundaries on the ring.
Yeah, that's
ensuring.
Really good end to that over from Katya Moore. 3 boundaries, and then just to concede 2 more runs off the final 3 balls.
Well, 5 overs gone. 59 for no loss. We're going to have another change of bowling. Sorry, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Tash Farage is going to come back into the attack. Again, a change of ends for her as well. She's going to be bowling from the pavilion end on this occasion.
Yeah, we've not seen a single bowler kept on for the same over from the same end yet.
It's all the rage this year. Maximum bowling changes possible.
Just everything everywhere all at once.
It's the theme. The themes of this year are change your boundary sizes, change your bowlers, and have a deep extra cover. Those are my 3 themes of the Blast.
So you know how like Vogue predicts the trends for the next
Yeah.
season? Do you think you could do your picks ahead of next year maybe now?
Picks ahead of next year.
Well,
Okay.
not now, but next year will we see an article from you going, this is Cam Ponsonby's 3 trends? Like Anna Wintour.
That ball just lands short of Danny Wyatt Hodgej. Extra cover. I think I could do that. I think I'm confident to predict that Bryony Smith will place a deep extra cover to maybe Katya Moore across this innings. We've already seen this boundary today looks kind of like a squashed 50p. We kind of have, it's like an octagon shape. Very long square, short straight. Pulled high in the air. Field is interested.
Ooh.
And it's a fantastic effort in the deep by Phoebe Franklin. She just isn't able to make it stick.
Yeah, tough to call that one a chance. It was so difficult, and I think it just fell short in the end. Let's have a look. So much power on that shot. I think the camera struggled to find it.
We've already seen Tash Farron move to her change-ups here rather than looking to swing the ball. Another slower ball. And I think that might be another drop catch. I don't know if that's just fallen short of the fielder at square leg. We'll have to see a replay.
That looked like it carried. It's again those fine margins in the field. You're under the pump like this, those chances, they matter even more.
You can see the run rate there at the moment. It's above 11 and over. Looks like we've had 2 drops and 2 balls as well. Short. Oof. Run out opportunity. At the non-strikers then, no. Well, it's all going on at the moment.
Yeah, it feels a little bit frantic. Bit of a, well, not a bit of a huge reach there.
So that's 1 for the over given. It's not signalled a no ball, so it didn't go over head height. So everything's fine. We can play on as per normal. Another slower ball. Another slower ball from Tash Farron. So 1 ball left of this power play. Catch, you've got to say it's belonged to the Blaze.
Completely. This Farron over off the back of the previous over from Kalia Moore, well, the end of the previous over, the last 3 balls, just pegged it back a little bit.
They're going to look to sneak a run. It's good, busy work from the 2 Blaze batters. The power play comes to an end. The score is 63 for none. And I believe we're going to have a little look at those 2 drop catches.
And at the end of the 6-over power play, Blaze are 63 out.
So we do have these 2 drops to replay. The first by Phoebe Franklin out in the deep. It feels harsh to call this a drop. Diving forward, it would have been a wonderful catch. The second drop here at square leg. I think that has just dropped into and out of McDonald Gay's hands at square leg. But most excitingly, we've had a change in the commentary box. I'm joined now by Kirsty White. How are you, Kirsty?
I'm disappointed, Cam, I'm not going to lie.
Former Surrey legend,
Thank
Kirsty
you,
White.
there it is.
do you mind being former Surrey legend? Could you just be Surrey legend? Because surely your legend status remains.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's up to you. But change of bowling here.
Good point. Grace Harris into the attack. Starts with a short ball that's pulled out into the deep. Surrey, of course, now that power play is over, allowed to have 4 fielders out on the boundary. Grace Harris was neither required with bat nor ball in their win against Durham, but things haven't gone well here, so they've turned to the overseas pro.
Yeah, I think this was probably a bit of, if you weren't sure what Bryony's mindset was, she's definitely searching for something here, I think. So actually just tossing the ball to Grace Harris and asking her to produce something.
That's short again. This time well fielded by Smith at cover.
Yeah, sorry, I've gone straight to 4 out, which is the right thing to do, and it's definitely a big part of a T20 anyways. A lot of teams will go 3 or maintain 2. Very rare dot ball there. But actually, Surrey's game plan to stem the flow of runs consistently, and regardless of whether teams are going well or not, would be go straight to 4 out and start to build a boundary string, which is where they're just restricting how many boundaries are being scored.
Another dot ball there. So just about able to rein this run rate in a little bit here. Grace Harris with the cap and the sunnies onto bowling. It's a hell of a look.
Not just any sunnies, the Wayfarers as well.
That should just be 1 more run as well. Only 3 runs off it. This opening Grace Harris over. Have Surrey been poor with the ball? What's contributed to this kind of fast start from the Blaze?
I think they've not had the start that they would have wanted, and certainly last game was their best performance with the ball. Struck nicely down the ground by Marie Kelly. And I think the start of the previous game, McDonald Gay really set the tone and unfortunately couldn't pick up from that. I don't know if there'll be panic, and I don't think they will be too upset. You know, it's a fresh deck. They've got plenty of depth in their batting. So as it stands, I don't think there'll be a panic stations. They're not a team that panic. But to bring the run rate back under 10s, they'll certainly be happy to do.
Well, after 7 overs, the score is 67 for none. Surrey going to have another change of bowling. We're going to see Danny Gregory into the attack. And most excitingly, we've also been joined by Alice Capsey. No, we haven't been joined by her yet. Alice, don't say a word. We'll introduce you in due course. Danny Gregory's entry to the attack, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Starts with a single out to square leg.
What I was going to say is that, and when we eventually get Alice on air, is she'll probably be able to give a little bit more of light into it. But
no spoilers, Kirsty.
A 6:30 game. Sorry, a 6:30 game is actually really tiring.
Why? Answer after this ball. Short, that could be finding the gap. No, well fielded in the deep there. The Blaze looking for 2. Gonna have to scamper home. Makes it just about.
So nobody likes a 10:30 start. It's too early.
Okay.
It's too early. No one likes it. Maybe Alice, she likes to get up quite early.
6:30 too late?
2 o'clock start, ideal. You can get up, have a bit of a lounge around. 6:30, you're waiting all day to play. So you're going through the game all day in your head. You're thinking about the game. You know, you've had the whole day to prepare. That struck really nicely into the gap there by Georgia Elwis. Picks up 4. Not the best start here from Danny Gregory. Just not quite finding her length. Dragging short. Elwis very quick on top of that, stepping across onto her off stump, picking the gap between long on and deep mid wicket there. So it is mentally fatiguing playing an evening game.
Okay.
It is the waiting. You've got a lot to think about all day. Almost too long to prepare sometimes.
Well, so basically what I'm hearing here is you want to be starting at 2. I'd argue that starting at 2 o'clock is a bit of a daybreaker. You can't really do anything with your morning. You're just hanging about.
Oh, I think I disagree. Because you'll be at the ground 2 hours before, really, anyway. So you're at the ground from midday. So actually, you've had a nice leisurely start. You check out, you can have a little wander around, have a spot of coffee.
Head to Vox Workspace.
Yeah, if you like.
Kelly just giving herself room here. She's been really proactive with her foot movement so far this innings, especially against the seam of Tash Farrant when Farrant was getting that ball to swing back into her. She's giving herself space, looking to drive over the offside. 9 off the over so far, 1 ball to come. Will that be a wide? Yes.
It's not her usual end, this Danny Gregory. She does tend to bowl from the Vauxhall end. Maybe struggling to adapt. I wouldn't expect that she would, but sun potentially just dropping a little bit low. That's a much better length there. Just tightening Elwis up in and around her pads to finish the 8th over.
Well, 8 overs gone. The score is 78 for 9. Surrey yet to make that breakthrough. This pair motoring along so far, really providing the first real stern test that Surrey have faced so far this season. We're going to see the introduction of Phoebe Franklin into the attack. Bowling change powered by SSE Energy Solutions. From the first ball to the final over, let's power change together. Phoebe Franklin bowled a maiden a couple of matches ago.
Did she?
Well, it's not going to be a maiden this time. 1 run to start the over.
Yeah, very dynamic start there from Elwish. She's played a lot against Phoebe Franklin in teams and against, so she should be quite well aware of how Phoebe sets herself up.
Swing and a miss there.
Sorry, I thought I heard a nick. My arms were in the air.
I heard nothing there. Big swing and a miss from Marie Kelly, as far as I could tell. But finally, we're able to welcome Alice Capsey into the commentary booth. Alice, how are you? I think first things first. How have the last few weeks been in the New England camp?
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, it's been pretty fun being under new leadership, and
That's chipped over mid-off. Be 4 more runs to the total. Blaze moving on to 83 for none.
yeah, it's been really refreshing. It's kind of always nice to, I guess, get new ideas and new inputs. It's always an exciting time when a new head coach kind of comes in, and especially with a new captain to kind of, I guess, guide a team in their direction. And yeah, it's been a great start to kind of the Siva Brunt, Edwards era, I guess, against West Indies.
In your own start to the season, you must have been delighted. We saw you play against the Blaze at Beckenham. You made that amazing 125. You must have been really kind of pleased with how you're hitting them yourself.
Yeah, it's been a really nice start to the season. I think kind of, especially after last year where I can probably hold my hands up and say that I probably didn't perform the way I'd have liked to. So,
well bowled from Franklin there. Appeal for LBW. Now an appeal for a run out. Well, Surrey will keep asking questions, and at the moment the answers will keep being no. They continue to press for that wicket.
but yeah, I think kind of reflecting on that a lot, and doing a lot of work over the winter, obviously being away a lot as well, being in different environments, picking up different things, kind of it was really pleasing to come back to Surrey and I guess be able to put a decent stint in, and not just be available for a couple of games.
Well, that's missed everything somehow. I don't quite know how, and it's been signalled 4 runs. Was an inside edge from
inside edge,
Marie Kelly. I'm not doing my job, not paying enough attention. 9 overs gone, 87 for no loss. Blaze's good start continues. You mentioned the kind of travel. I feel like there was a period of time wherever I clicked on Cricinfo, I'd see your name on a scorecard in some part of the world. How have you found that part of your career, kind of being away so much, as it were?
Yeah, it's been great fun. I've absolutely loved it. Just being able to experience different countries, different environments, different people. I've definitely learnt a lot, that's for sure. And I guess probably kind of throwing myself into it quite young. It's kind of become a bit of second nature now, which is nice.
That could sneak past Danny Gregory, only for her to put in a diving stop. I'll wait from the signal for the umpire. Grace Harris had an appeal for LBW, but it's been given as runs. She's still got the sunnies on and the cap.
And the swag.
Absolutely. Well, that is going to be 4 more. This time Kelly looks for the reverse and just gets enough on it to take her to 46. How's your own bowling been coming along? You've been turning the arm over a lot for England, 3 for against the Windies.
Yeah, it's been great fun to have a bit more of a role with the ball. Definitely been bowling a lot more in training now that kind of I'm starting to get a bit more consistency with it, which has been nice.
Kelly looks for the reverse again. And that's out. Suicidal running in the end from the Blaze, and Danny Wyatt Hodgej flicks the ball to Grace Harris at the non-striker's end.
Bit of confusion there, was there? I wasn't quite sure. It looked like an easy run. I looked up and Kelly was halfway down the track running through treacle.
I agree with you. I kind of saw they set off. I went, that's okay. And then Danny Wyatt Hodgej had the ball in her hand about 10 yards from the stumps. But crucially, Surrey have their breakthrough. It's much easier to talk about the game to Surrey player Alice Capsey when the positive things happen. I was looking at the scoreboard. I was going, God, could you come on a different time? No. 92 for 1 after 9.3. Marie Kelly has to go. guess that leads us to what it's been like. You've obviously been grown up around here forever. Your face is on the wall outside, which in itself must be a bizarre and quite cool thing to wander up the Harleyford Road each day and see yourself not in a mirror. What's it been like kind of having this new era of Surrey, new changing rooms, and being able to call this home?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like you said, it's a little bit bizarre kind of walking up the road and there's a big mural of my face. But no, it's really cool. And like you said, to be able to call it home, Surrey's kind of been through kind of everything with me over my career. They've given me the best support. And it's kind of always just felt like home. But now it's professional, it's great.
Single taken out to the offside. Now, I introduce Kirsty on commentary every match as former Surrey legend.
The form is
Kirsty,
new, actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Form is new, but I've come to expect it now.
Do you guys ever... is Surrey legend a fitting moniker? Am I allowed to keep calling her this?
I've said nice things about you in the past, Alice. Remember
That's a good
this.
point. Grace Harris sets off but isn't able to cut off the one. And two, did you guys ever cross paths? Would you have played for Surrey together, all the stars?
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
We've won the Charlotte Edwards Trophy together in the middle.
Together in the middle?
Together in the middle.
Well,
I
talk
mean,
us through this.
I mean, Katya did the most of it, and I was leaning on my bat at the other end. But yeah, cool as a cucumber, age just 16, I think.
Pulled behind square, and that will be four. Ellis continues. She now moves on to 43 off 30. So how many... Well, I guess it must have been a remarkable and interesting part of your career, Kirsty, of when you started before the professional era, and then you've played until the point where you've got players like Alice coming through, hitting balls every day, and you're seeing the level of talent that's arriving in the game, and you go, oh, how old are you? I'm 15 years old, I'm 16 years old. What was it like watching kind of Alice come through in that respect?
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Because, you know, youth are so resilient and pick up skills so quickly. And I remember going from one season to the next, and all of a sudden Alice is sweeping, and people have said, oh, you know, were you working on that over the winter? She said, oh, no, I just taught myself how to sweep, and then that was it, really. Or it took me about, well, my entire career.
Another tightish run from the Blaze there, but they get home safely enough.
And then obviously, you know, throw into the mix the professional era, and Stars obviously were really, really strong with that and contracting players early doors. This is a much better start here from Tilly Courtine-Coleman. That, you know, if you've got those opportunities to train regularly, hit balls day in, day out, combined with youth, you know, your kind of skill level is going to go so rapidly, and from week to week where you see the young players training as much as they do, this is why there are so many young players in that England setup now, which is probably just about the right time, because, you know, you've got players like Nat, you've got, well, obviously Elwes, who's now not playing in that England setup, but there are players towards the back end of that career, so it's really kind of all timing now in terms of...
Well held by Harris at mid-off, and that's an important wicket for Surrey. Catherine Bryce had yet to be dismissed in this entire competition, and after a flying start from the Blaze, Surrey have two quickly and a foothold in this game.
Yeah, big wicket that, actually. When Catherine Bryce came to the crease, I did think they have still got plenty of batting to come, so really important there. And maybe Marie Kelly had made it look a little bit too easy, and Catherine Bryce tried to set a bit too quickly. Really well bowled, great discipline from Courtine-Coleman, just going for two the previous three deliveries and putting the pressure back onto the batters. Two down.
We'll see the replay here. It looked for a long time like the ball was going to sneak over Harris's head. But that's why you get the pros in. I keep on saying this. Yeah. Grace Harris gets a great match fee here at Surrey.
Well, they're all getting a good match fee here.
That's
they're
a good point.
All having a turn today. But I was going to say, I think Marie Kelly played Tilly Courtine-Coleman really, really well. She's a very hard bowler to come down the track to. You know, she gets turn and she gets bounce. So it can be really difficult to play, and I think that's where Catherine Bryce came a little bit unstuck there.
Well, Kirsty, you mentioned something about kind of youth there and the fearlessness of youth. And something I've wanted to ask you, Alice, for a while. Bryce off the mark with a single into the offside. It's actually one of the first matches I ever covered as a journalist was your kind of debut at Lords, where you made kind of 60 or 70. I remember people like that. You were 16, 17 years old?
16 at the time, yeah.
I remember people talking about kind of the fearlessness of youth, quote unquote. And I remember finding being a teenager terrifying. Everything was scary being a teenager, and kind of how you found that, and whether you were able to play with that level of freedom, having just come into it fresh and new, or whether it was a case of, like, blimey, I'm 16 years old here, and I'm on this stage. Kind of how did you find that experience?
Yeah, it was. I can't say that I wasn't terrified.
Perfect. That's what I said.
There's a lot of photos, especially at the beginning of the 100, where any photo you looked at, I was completely pale, looked like I was about to throw up, and that's how I felt. But I guess kind of going into it, I just thought, what an awesome kind of opportunity. I kind of was picked up late because of the 100 getting pushed back a year because of COVID. And then I looked and I was like, wow, I've been drafted in a squad of 15, and I was like, this is just an awesome opportunity. Like, I'm going to be in the same team. I'm going to be training with the likes of Marizanne Kapp, Danae, Tash Farron, Maddie Villiers, all of those kind of internationals. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so lucky. And at not one point did I think I was going to play, let alone open. So when JB kind of spoke to me, I was kind of like, wow, it doesn't really matter what happens here, because if it goes well, then great. But if it doesn't, like, what a cool opportunity to be able to say that I've opened the batting in the first game of the 100, or I've opened playing at Lords.
McDonald Gay into the attack. Out! A fantastic return for McDonald Gay, who struggled in her first over. Struggled with her line, was slipping a few wides and down the leg side, but this time she's on the money immediately, and Surrey's recovery continues. 3 quick wickets in quick succession. The score's now 101 for 3.
Yeah, all she needed was a change of end cam.
That's all it is. It's fine. They did it with Danny Gregory. It worked as well.
Yeah, and it seemed like she hit the crease there really confidently, really powerfully. That looked quick. That came through quick. Obviously, her first over didn't quite go to plan, but you know, the way that Kira Chatley had to react to take that catch, it was a reaction catch, low to her right. Let's just take a look at this replay. Yeah, really, really great delivery. Forced Sarah Bryce to play a shot there, and unfortunately meant that she was departing.
Well, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I often think those catches are much harder than they look, because Chatley is standing quite close there, and although it's just one movement to her right, it's a very fast movement, and kind of those areas where it's kind of below your knee can be difficult to access.
Yeah, and one of the things that Rihanna McDonald Gay has in her armour is she's quite a skiddy bouncer, so she'll shoot onto you and she can rush you, but it also means that the ball doesn't always carry through to the keeper around kind of waist height, knee height. So as a wicket keeper, Kira has to make a decision. Do I stand back and give myself a little bit more time to gather, or do I take it so that it arrives at me quickly and I can take that catch and not risk it bouncing just in front of me?
Confidence starts there from Heather Graham, who's back with the Blaze. I believe she hit the winning runs in last year's Charlotte Edwards Cup, something that obviously Alice Capsey did with you at the other end a few years ago. Look at that. That's called a callback. You bring it back, bring back information before. Not impressed. That's fine.
Yeah, she's been with Blaze quite a few years actually.
A slower ball there from McDonald Gay.
That just signals to me that she's feeling a little bit more confident as well, that she can execute these variations. They were so successful last game, Tash Farron particularly. I spoke to her after the game, and we saw a lot of her knuckleballs, her back of the hand slow balls, and she said that she spoke to Holly Armitage after she bowled that 30-mile-an-hour knuckleball and said, hit that, and Holly just said, I can't.
Another single taken out into the offside. So Alice, what's next for you in terms of, everyone's wondering when kind of the England girls at Surrey a bit, if they're going to come back and be playing for Surrey, or are we just kind of waiting until the India series. Are we likely to see you back out on the field in duck egg blue anytime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of having a couple of days off was pretty important for me. But yeah, really keen to kind of get back out for Surrey over the next couple of weeks.
It's a lovely shot from Graham, hitting the sweeper hard for 1 run. So when India come over the end of this month, I imagine you're expecting to be heavily involved in those series. Kind of what type of challenge do they face? Because it does feel like, as a third party, there's England, Australia, India as the real kind of heavy hitters within the women's game, and just how much of a challenge it is playing them home or away.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, definitely hoping to be involved in that series. Kind of never take for granted getting selected in an England squad, and especially in, like you said, a big series like India. It seems at the moment where kind of the big three, I guess everyone's calling it, are kind of going ahead, but you've also seen the likes of South Africa, who have done particularly well in the T20 format over the last couple of years. But yeah, India are always a massive challenge. They just possess such high quality players that are match winners, I'd say, and we've seen it, I've seen it firsthand, especially in the WPL. That tournament just is a different level. It's incredible to be a part of, but they're a real challenge that I think, especially kind of over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure a lot of thought will go into the planning of that series, I guess. And we're also really conscious that we've got a 50 over World Cup at the end of the year, and it's in their conditions. But particularly in that kind of, I guess, finding out kind of how best to play our 50 over cricket, which I guess previously it hasn't been so successful for us. So kind of finding that blueprint and trying to do that against such a high quality Indian side will be really crucial, and it will also be a great opportunity for us to perform under pressure and learn how to perform under pressure and communicate with each other.
Well, we've had a change of in the bowling attack. Phoebe Franklin has come on at the Vauxhall end. Also a change in the commentary box. Katya Witney has replaced Kirsty White. And Katya, I'd like to have my one prediction of the evening right. We have deep extra cover in place. Not to Callie Moore, except...
There we go. I'll find you your Anna Wintour sunglasses somewhere.
Thank you very much. Alice, two of my obsessions of this season so far have been deep extra cover, becoming a really, like, what's the word, fashionable fielding position. I'd hardly ever seen it before this year. And also how Surrey, and I don't know how much you'll be able to say about this, play around with your boundary sizes. Every time I've come to a Surrey game this year, the boundary has been entirely different to the previous day, previous match even.
Yeah, I think a lot of thought goes into that behind the scenes by kind of our coaching staff, and it varies between kind of, I guess, what wicket we're playing on, what ground we're playing on, whether it be Beckenham, the Oval, but then also what team we're playing against, what kind of players they have in their lineup.
Do you ever have it, on the other hand, when you've got your bowling hat on, you arrive at a ground, the boundary's tiny, you go, what scouting have we done here? This is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I guess it works both ways, doesn't it? It's, I guess, about finding a boundary size that will complement us as a side the best, but also kind of make the game harder for the opposition too.
Ball heaved up to Paige Schofield, who's ever-present at long on. An excellent over from Franklin there, just 5 runs off it after 13 overs. The score is 110 for 3. And me and Katya have been at many, if not all of the matches this year at Beckenham. It seems to be, I imagine it's quite a fun place to bat. Looks like a lot of runs are on offer.
Yeah, when kind of 700 runs happen in 150 over game, it's probably batter's paradise, maybe less so for the bowlers.
Another change of bowling here at the Kia Oval. Tilly Courtine-Colm is going to come back from the pavilion end. All bowling changes powered by SSE Energy Solutions. He's bowled 2 overs so far. Took the wicket of Catherine Bryce. clipped into the leg side. They'll look for 2, and they'll agree for 2. That's out. Well, Georgia Elwis has brought up her 50, but when looking for 51, has run out Graham at the other end. Surrey's recovery, we look at that run rate now, it's all the way down at 8.5, having been up above 11 at the start of this innings. Katya, things, well, Surrey are recovering.
Yeah, completely different from when I was on finished my stint earlier. Huge power play for the Blaze, but reeling it back in, and Heather Graham completely given up halfway down the pitch pretty much there. It's a mad second run to take. If we just look here. Yeah. Georgia Elwis reaches her 50. Heather Graham didn't expect the second one. Not even in the same ballpark.
Well, Heather Graham has to go, and sadly so too does Alice Capsey. Alice, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth today, and hopefully see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Alice Capsey on comms, Cam.
Exactly. We bring the stars in here on the Surrey live stream. Driven up to cover. Almost another run-out opportunity there. Really well fielded in the cover regions. Trying to make up who that fielder is.
Yep, and we were saying earlier, we had those 2 drop catches in the space of 2 balls, plus a misfield from Paige Schofield earlier on, that those fine margins in the field in a match like this, which at that time and still at the minute, to be honest, looked quite high scoring, they're the real difference.
This one's pulled into the leg side and might just find the gap. No, well fielded and deep, eventually by Surrey. Phoebe Franklin kind of slide tackles the ball up to her mate, Rihanna McDonald Gay.
Yeah, you can just see a bit more impetus in the field here from Surrey. When you're put on the back foot like they were in the power play, it's so easy just to let that concentration slip in that kind of freneticness.
Well, that ball sneaks through the ring, and it'll race her way over the square and go for 4.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty awkward bounce there. Is that Tash Farrant down there?
I think it probably was Tash Farrant, because every time the ball's been hit to anyone this innings, it has been Tash Farrant.
Yeah, just a really awkward bounce. Confuses her, and it's 3.
Well, amongst the mess of the last 4 or 5 balls and the wicket of Heather Graham, Georgia Elwis did bring up her 3rd half century of the competition. She's been in excellent form across this T20 section.
Yeah, she's been a brilliant addition to that Blaze stable that won the, as we said, Charlotte Edwards Cup last year. And in a powerful batting order, she's really kind of elevated it to that next level. You've obviously got both Bryce sisters and so much talent. Having someone of the calibre of Georgia Elwis with the kind of power she possesses.
Paddle sweep, and that is another misfield from Surrey. Unfortunately, Gregory won't be able to blame the bounce on that occasion. So just as Katya pointed out, the intensity in the field seemed to have gone up from Surrey. A couple of sloppy errors have seen 2 singles turn into 2 boundaries.
Yeah, that one the worst of them. Through the legs, it's never nice when that happens, just want the ground to swallow you up.
Well, 14 overs are gone. We apologise for the technical difficulties of the scorecard on the bottom of your screen at the moment. That will update at some point, I'm sure, I believe. But for now, after 14 overs, the score is 123 for 4. There you go, see it updating in live time down the bottom. Another change of bowling powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Danny Gregory returning to her favoured end, the Vauxhall end.
All happening again. Georgia was just out of her crease on the non-striker's end. Chance for a run out after a brief LBW shout from Danny Gregory, but nothing going. Looked like it was slightly doing too much, potentially going down that leg side.
Elvis looks to have lost the O from her John Pye advertisement on the front of her shirt. I'm sure she'll be given a new one at some point.
Out.
Comfortable catch for Paige Schofield. And Ella Claridge, 8 off 4, but has to go. And Danny Gregory, after a couple of difficult outings here in the Kia Oval over the last week or so, has her name in the wickets chart. 125 for 5 now, the Blaze. They're just at risk of stalling slightly here towards the end of their innings. Surrey will be feeling much happier for their evening's work after 14.5 overs than they were after 8.5.
Yeah, that top order after those two openers hasn't really fired. And if you look here, Ella Claridge just picked out Paige Schofield on the down the ground boundary perfectly. She's barely had to move. It's quite a longer angle there if you look at it. The right straight as a die down the ground boundary is quite short, but if you add that angle onto it, it's actually longer. And she hasn't been able to get that power on it to get it over the rope.
Well, Surrey on a roll here. And as we mentioned, in both their previous matches here this season, they've scored at more than 10 runs and over. So if they're able to keep the Blazers' final total below around 180, they'll feel very confident of chasing it. Kirk looks to sweep to begin with.
Yeah, it's good this from Danny Gregory. More than made up for that misfield in the previous over. 2 runs and a wicket so far off the first 4 balls of this over. And it's this period of the game that just getting a stranglehold on it, like Gregory's been able to.
That's a loose delivery with 4 runs. That's the way Gregory has been missing so far this season, just dragging her length back. You see the ball scuttling down the leg side. The batters are able to just help it on its way.
Yeah, that was a sit up and hit me length. Just helped it round.
Something worth bearing in mind here. So, Blazers' 2 wins this year have both been by 7 wickets. They've had a tie and a washout. So, in getting a little bit deeper in the batting order here, we have the second time Michaela Kirk and also Ella Claridge before her. In their previous 4 matches, they've neither batted nor bowled. So, they might not be out of form, but they don't have an opportunity to be in form either. They've been low on cricket at this point in the order. Looks like we're going to have another bowling change. Tash Farrant returning, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Get the whole team involved and score big with sustainable energy solutions.
Yeah, and just as you're saying, Cam, just testing that lower batting order. That's what we expected tonight from 2 of the best sides in the competition. Neither have been put under, apart from in that one tie that the Blaze had, neither have been put under huge pressure in their wins. So this game is about getting it done and getting it over the line by however much you can. And at the minute, it does feel like we're in a proper scrap with Surrey bringing back those wickets, but there's still 129 runs on the board with 5 overs to go for the Blaze.
Oh, absolutely, the match is well poised. We've got Farrant coming round the wickets to Elvis. It's a change up and it was tight to the stumps. The outside edge sees the ball go for 4 and you just saw Farrant on your screen there. We'll shrug our shoulders and go, what can you do?
She's picked the gap so well in this innings, Elvis. Placement on that, bisecting those 2 fielders perfectly down to the boundary. I know I seem obvious to say, but Elvis is the key here between Blaze getting a good score and Blaze getting a really good score. If Elvis is still there at the end, you'd expect them to be pushing up to that 170 mark.
The Blaze will look for 2 here. Just drop that ball into the leg side. They decide against it on this occasion, perhaps with those 2 previous run-outs in the back of their mind. That 4 was fantastic from Elvis. She's cut that off middle stump. As we see with Farrant, she starts with the new ball, bowling over the wicket, looking to swing the ball back into the right-hander. As she comes round the wicket with the ball that little bit older and goes to her change-ups. Well, that's snuck through. No matter how fast Danny Gregory runs, she's not able to stop that from going to the boundary. Leg by signalled. Not the worst result for Surrey.
Yeah, it's so hard this with keeper up to the stumps. See, this obviously was keepers in the women's game standing up to the pacer. But unfortunately, when it misses everything, there's not a lot you can do with that.
Well, it's prompted Kira Chatley to take her helmet off and go back to. She's no longer standing up to the stumps. Whether that prompts Kirk to use her crease a bit more and walk down the wicket at Farrington remains to be seen. Out. A good shot, but a fielder in place. Kirk picks up the sweep, sending it all the way out to deep square leg, but McDonald Gay was positioned perfectly. The ball settles in her hands. Kirk would have thought she was in the runs there, but those deep, very large square boundaries referred to earlier come into play. That distance, had it been hit straight, well, it would have sailed for 6, but as it happens, Kirk has to go.
Yeah, Surrey really picking up these wickets. They've opened an end. Georgia Earl was firmly in place at 1, but she needs someone to stay with her. We just look at this replay again. Yeah, just coming across her. In the deep. Good catch, low to the ground by Rihanna McDonald Gay. Nice celebration there. Brings Josie Groves to the crease. Tash Farron, 9 runs and a wicket so far from this over. She's been a little bit expensive, but then there hasn't really been a Surrey seamer who hasn't been, and she's picked up those wickets. Just looking again at that dismissal. Rihanna McDonald Gay, low to the ground, watches the ball straight in. Kira Chatley got her helmet back on, coming back up to the stumps. It's a real balance here with Kira Chatley and working out what to do. Straight to the fielder. Because what Kira Chatley is trying to prevent, obviously, is the batter using the crease and coming out and really taking on the length. But as we saw a few balls ago, when you're trying to prevent runs in a T20, it can be a difficult call.
Well, a shot at the stumps from Grace Harris. Had it hit, I imagine it would be out. And by Tash Farron's reaction, she agrees. But successful over for Surrey comes to an end. Well, I imagine it's a bit of a score draw. Wicket taken, but 10 runs scored. After 16, the score is 139 for 6.
Yeah, we'll just see that throw again. So set off for the run. They take the first. Did Tash Farron get a hand to that?
Well, I think Tash Farron might have just deflected that ball away from the stumps. That might have been the conversation between her and Grace Harris. And on the topic of Grace Harris, she's going to return for her 3rd over. Her figures are not for 15 so far. All bowling changes powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Well, that's stabbed into the leg side. Will they look for 2? No, they'll settle just for 1.
Barely anything on that delivery.
Well, I wonder if Josie Groves' mum is in. We were reliably informed by our colleague Georgie Heath earlier this season that Groves' mum is kind of the Blazers' biggest fan and often can be spotted dancing away in the crowd. She kind of makes her own foam fingers. Elvis goes to reverse sweep, and that's out. And that is a big, big wicket for Surrey, because Elvis was keeping things ticking along from one end. Her innings of 61 off 45 comes to an end. I think Tilly Courtine-Coleman might just have lost that in the sun a bit. It was a very simple catch, but she had a bit of a giggle when it settled in her hands. And the Blaze, well, from flying, they're now falling. 140 for 7.
Yeah, that's a huge wicket. We were talking just an over ago about how well Georgia Elwes has placed the ball during her innings, really picking the gap. But on this occasion, she just reversed it straight into the hands of Tilly Courtine-Coleman. Couldn't have picked her out any better, really. But Georgia Elwes was key there. And from a brilliant start, what were they, 41 off the first 4, something like that?
Well, if not more, I can go back and find exactly what they were, but they were 92 for none. So they've lost 48 for 7 for 48 here. Now, one of my favourite cricket facts, Kirsty Gordon is from the same cricket club in Scotland where Azhar Ali was the overseas professional.
Again, your trivia knowledge.
Anything you need, Katya, I'm here. Gordon is off the mark, first ball.
Yep, still some batting to come. Kirsty Gordon more than competent. But that wicket of Elvis will be a huge difference.
Well, I just wonder if that earlier run out of Graham when her and Elvis turned for 2 has spooked the Blaze a little bit, because now when they are dropping the ball in the leg side and those square boundaries are incredibly large, they're not even thinking about going for 2.
Yeah, they just look a bit more tentative now, the Blaze. They look slightly almost dazed by the number of wickets they've lost in such quick succession.
We'll see what they do here. Grace Harris has set off in pursuit, and on this occasion, there's absolutely no chance for a 2. And that's a fantastic over for Surrey. Not only has only 4 runs come off it, but the crucial wicket of Georgia Elvis was taken. So 17 overs gone, 3 to go. The score is 143 for 7.
Yeah, one of these brilliant overseas signings, Grace Harris. Still waiting for the arrival of Elise Perry, the competition.
Yes, indeed.
Down at Hampshire. Brilliant to see attracting these big names from all over the world. There's a decent run into the 100 as well, this competition. Big conversation here for the start of the 18th over. Just discussing where to put Danny Gregory down on that boundary.
Returning from Rihanna McDonald Gay.
Well, I'm just going through the scorecard of Surrey's innings. I cannot find the last time. Appeal for LBW, not given. Well, Surrey seemed to like that one a little bit. McDonald Gay has looked back at the umpire again. Really?
I think she'll find there were a couple of noises there. So I'm about to be made to look very stupid.
Well,
Yeah.
sliding down leg side, I'd say as well, arguably. Not out either way.
Yeah, and to think after Rihanna McDonald Gay's first over, where I think there were 5 or 6 wide deliveries, she came back and bowled a brilliant second over, took that wicket, and she's right on the money first up as well.
Swing and a miss. Change up there from McDonald Gay.
As we were saying earlier in the game, she was brilliant against Durham. Surrey's last game, banging it into the pitch. Just looks like she's not trying to overthink it here, just switching between that change of pace that she's used effectively, keeping her length consistent. Slightly over pitch, gets away with it. Again, that running between the wickets from the Blaze, it just looks so hesitant.
Well, unless my maths, reading, one of those things has deceived me. I've gone through Surrey's scorecard here, and no bowler has bowled consecutive overs. There's been a bowling change at every given possible opportunity. So very active captaincy from Bryony Smith.
Maximalism, that's what we want to see.
Maximalism, that's a great word. Short, and that beats Kirsty Gordon. One for the over. Signalled?
I guess proactivism maybe. It's a point we make actually, not to compare, but we commentate a lot on the Men's County Championship here at the Oval, and it's a point we make about Rory Burns, that he's constantly proactive and not letting the game slip away. And it's something we can see here from Bryony Smith. And it's even more obvious in a T20. Oh, that's a...
Well, that's a big something. We wait for the umpires to make a decision. It's a wide ball.
Just slipped out of the hand there, and she's laughing about it, which is great. Those things happen.
Well, that one really has slipped, and it's gone a long way down leg side. It's not called a no ball, which is to Surrey's benefit, so no free hit given to the Blaze. But it's been a really good recovery from McDonald Gay, because that first over was difficult. She's come back firing. Should just be one out to the cover sweeper. Danny Wyatt Hodgej does the necessary.
Yeah, but you think she'd be back on. Maybe that'll be the first consecutive overs from the same end if Rihanna McDonald Gay comes on to bowl the final over.
Well, I hope not. I want this to be seen all the way through. So I can't say I've seen it before. Not that I remember anyway. Heaved out towards long on. Oh, and that is a fantastic diving stop from Paige Schofield. She throws her head back in frustration. It looked like it was going over her. I don't think at any stage she's tried to catch that. She's just almost batted it back into play with it flying over her head. So 4 runs saved there by Paige Schofield.
Yeah, that was a brilliant stop. Looked for all money like it was going for 6. Paige Schofield, one of the taller Surrey players, positioned down on that boundary rope, advancing down the wicket, cross-batted shot. That is incredible. She's leapt about a foot in the air, batted it back in, managed somehow to have it avoid the boundary rope, and that's 6 runs saved. And she's actually frustrated at herself that she's not taken it.
She is frustrated she hasn't held on to that catch. And it does. At first, I thought she just literally tried to throw her hand at it and knock it back into play, but it almost stuck in the fingertips there. All in all, a fantastic effort. And at this stage of the innings, runs are almost as valuable as wickets. We have another bowling change. I'd expect nothing less at this stage, as Tash Farrant returns, this time from the Vauxhall end. Her 4 fielders out on the boundary and scattered from long off all the way through to deep square leg. It's a big swinging delivery from Farrant. She's got that ball looping in towards leg stump.
Yeah, important over this. You can see Blaze will have been eyeing 200 at least at the start of this innings, but having pulled them back in, you want to think anything over that 170 mark will be a big chase.
That sneaks through the field on the offside. Doesn't quite look to have the legs, so they'll have to run them. Run them they do. They come back for 3. Will they make it in time? Yes.
Well, it's again that running between the wickets. They would have made it easily if they'd made the decisive decision, but they just hesitated. Ended up being a bit of a tight one in the end.
Well, 3 runs to the total. Groves on 9, Gordon on 4. 10 balls of this innings remain. That shot's just prompted a change in the field. Phoebe Franklin comes up to mid-off from long off. And the cover point sweeper drops out to the boundary just to protect that square side of the ground on the offside. Short. That's helped on its way one way or another from Kirsty Gordon. She gets 4 for her troubles, and troubles is the right word because she didn't look particularly comfortable. She gets the glove on it, she gets some bat on it, and that's another boundary for the Blaze.
Yeah, not completely intentional. I think you can see Kirsty Gordon struggling with that angle that Tash Farrant runs in on, hiding herself behind the umpire. Premeditated advance down the wicket. Didn't get the length for it, but still a good result for Blaze.
That's chipped simply up to the ring, and Harris takes the easiest of catches. So it's an over of all sorts so far from Farrant. We've had a single, a 3, a 4, and now a wicket. Farrant has her 2nd of the evening. Kirsty Gordon has to go. And the Blaze could just be bowled out here. Surrey's second half of this innings has been superb. They took their first wicket, 9.5 over. 9.5? I don't know, 9.3. Taken 8 wickets in the following 9 overs, so almost 1 over indeed. And here's the latest one.
Yeah, looking to throw the black bat there, Kirsty Gordon. Seen the last 2 deliveries advancing down to Tash Farrant. She never looked comfortable facing her. Might have done better just to bat out those overs.
Simple enough start there from Katya McCarthy. Knocks a single down the ground.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to play. You've got to get that balance right between having these tail end batters in, still maximising your score. Maximising.
What was the word you said earlier? Machinic.
Don't.
I think
Been
that's
a
good
long
one.
day.
Oh, big heave into the leg side, and Farrant almost takes a third wicket with her final delivery of the night. But instead, she finishes with figures of 2 for 34. With 1 over to go, the score is 158 for 8. And will we have, for the first time this evening, a continuation of a bowler? Well, the answer is no, because I can see Grace Harris with ball in hand. So Bryony Smith has done it. She's completed the set. How did she get a prize for that?
They've heard you. They've heard you, Cam. Desperate for that bowling change to be made.
Exactly. Well, here we go. Grace Harris. Sunnies have now been discarded, so it's just the cap. And she'll close out this innings for one final time. This, bowling change powered by SSE Energy Solutions. And that's out. So Surrey take a 9th wicket. Harris gets her 2nd. And this has been a fantastic second half of the innings from Surrey. 9 wickets in 9 overs. And a chance of clean bowling out to the Blaze.
Yeah, brilliant that from Grace Harris. Really darted into the pitch, fired it in. Drew Katya McCarthy down the pitch. And Kira Chatley does the rest. So good behind the stumps. Simple takeoff of the bails. But clever from Grace Harris. Just watch this. Very little flight on that. Drew her down the pitch. Easy as you like. Simple plan. McCarthy fell for it. Off come the bails. Off she goes.
Well, 2 wickets on the night for Harris. We see Charlie Phillips coming out to the middle. Be interested to see how the Blaze play these final 5 balls. Will they look to just knock 5 singles, get themselves above 160? Will Phillips have a swing? Well, I think there's your answer. A tap into the leg side. Of course, Josie Groves will have more of a licence.
Yeah, that's job done by Phillips. Get Groves on strike, let her work out how to play it. You'd imagine Josie Groves might have a bit of a swing here.
It's a fabulous shot from the Blazes' number 8. Just walking across her stump. She knows there's a gap between deep square leg. The fielder at short 45 and finds it. So 4 runs to the Blazers total. And whilst they have fallen away in this innings, they've still got 160 runs on the board. 163 now to be exact. They can force that up to 170.
Exposed all 3 stumps there, but beautifully placed. Big gap.
Well, I assumed for a second that was the end of that, but Josie Groves had gone to move out of her crease and then taken a step back. So it was just a big swing and the miss in the end. 2 balls to go here at the Kia Oval.
Yeah, a lot and nothing happened.
This time bunted into the leg side. That has found a gap, and Charlie Phillips is quick, so comes back. Will she be quick enough? Just about. She might not have quite made it herself, but Grace Harris fumbled the ball at the non-striker's end. That allows the Blaze to get home for another 2 runs.
Yeah, I reckon that might have been out had Grace Harris taken that. Looked slightly short from where we were standing. Final ball of the innings.
Walks across again, helps it on its way, and that'll be 4 to finish proceedings. A little gem just at the end there from Josie Groves, who scores 10 runs off the final 4 deliveries to mean that the Blaze have finished on 169 for 9, and we have a game on our hands. Because while Surrey have been fantastic with the bats so far at the Kia Oval, scoring more than 10 and over in their 2 fixtures here, they haven't faced a test like this where with 170 on the board, it's a case of going and getting them. Katya, an innings of 2 halves there. The first half absolutely belonged to the Blaze, who got off to a flyer, 92 for none, and then pulled back from Surrey, who took 9 wickets and conceded just 70 runs in the final 10 overs.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of that, to be honest. Came on, looked for all money like Blaze were going to put an absolutely massive score on the board. And then, as you say, Surrey pulled it back, but you'd also have to say that Blaze really threw away a good position. If you look through that scorecard, no one apart from Josie Groves below the opener getting into double figures.
Well, if we do look at that batting card, the story is at the top. Marie Kelly and Georgia Ellis 46 and 61 apiece, and then it's the phone book 2, 1, 4, 8, 4. Josie Groves the only other batter to reach double figures with 19 not out. Then Kirsty Gordon with 8, and a single apiece for Cassidy McCarthy and Charlie Phillips. I imagine we'll have a look at the bowling figures next. We'll see here scattered work from Surrey, who, as we mentioned, has made a bowling change at every single possible moment. 2 wickets apiece for Tash Farrant and Grace Harris. Harris arguably the pick of the bowlers this evening for her 4 overs, going for just 30 runs and taking 2 wickets. And now, whilst we'll be back with live coverage of the run chase, for now we have the Xbox VT, and we'll see how the Surrey players get on with Cricket 24.
Do you think each other will be happy with each other's scores?
I think you'll be happy with the eyes. They look fabulous.
They always do.
I think Cricket 24 doesn't like you or respect you as a cricketer. That's all I say.
Hey, what's up guys? Benny here, and today I'm joined by some of the stars of the Surrey County Cricket Club, Ben Folkes and Dan Lawrence. Thanks so much for joining us. Bro Teams has been added to Cricket 24, and we're going to be doing a blind ranking of your teammates. For those that are wondering how this is going to work, I'm going to be pulling out names at random, and once you place it on the board, you cannot move it. So if you put someone in thirds and someone else comes out, they can't be changed, all right? And also for you at home, there are going to be some awesome chances to win some great prizes, including a signed Surrey shirt, an Xbox Series S, and 12 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. To enter, all you have to do is put hashtag #ScoreMoreWithXbox in the comments. How you feeling?
Nervous. It's not the easiest thing to put someone smack bang last, one of your teammates. So we'll have to buy some coffee to make it up to people, I reckon.
First person we have is Will Jacks.
Oh, come out hot.
Right, 1 to 11. Where do you think, and remember, this is his overall rating, right, in Pro Team.
What do you reckon? Should we slot him in at?
I think 4.
Slot him in at
give us
4.
a little bit
Give you a bit of wiggle
room.
room.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll put Will in 4th, all right? Chris Jordan.
I reckon we can slot CJ in at 5.
Tom Curran.
I think we fill up the middle
Fill
first.
up the middle?
Yeah,
6 or 7?
Put him at 6.
6.
Put him
Right,
at
6, all right. Gus Atkinson.
It'd be pretty tough after the last 12 months not to put him quite high up.
I agree, but I don't know, like, if Sam Curran comes flying out, he obviously takes up here.
I'm quite happy with Gus at 3.
Happy with him at 3?
Yeah, shove him at 3.
Yeah, go on then, chuck him 3.
We'll make some tough decisions later.
Next, Smith.
Sounds personal if I put him low, so I got probably 11. But he's like going to be one of the best players in the world quite soon, so I think he could slide at 2.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go 2.
J. Roy.
Is that one of England's best white ball players? But I mean, I'm reserving that if Sam Curran comes out of the pack.
Yeah, let's put him at 8.
8, yeah.
Let's put him at 8.
Ollie Pope.
Oh, Pope. Jeez, I forgot about Popey.
Oh, goodness gracious. Got to be 7.
I think he's got to go 7,
It's gotta
and then
be
we
7.
just got to bite the bullet.
Pope in at 7.
Evans.
Another unbelievable player.
I think we need a little wiggle room at 9 still. I think 10.
Sorry, Loza.
You've got yourself.
I'm happy to take 11. That's a good, pack of players.
Straight down.
You said last 12 months as well, and it's not gone well for me, so stick me down there.
Get that in there.
We've got 2 more. And you've mentioned him a few times already.
Stick him in. Stick him in at the top.
Get him straight out to
He's
the
done some pretty good things.
Sam Curran, right at the top there. And then last, right, if you want to do the honours of putting yourself on the board.
That in there. Yeah, and then Loza at number 1. There you go. No, I'd probably slot in. I'd probably slot in at 9.
Sadly,
there. Me at
rules.
9.
All right, so we've got your blind rankings, and now it is time for the reveal. We're going to work our way from the bottom to the top, but we're gonna leave you guys till last to see exactly where you are. So we're going to start with Evans. He's a 74 rated.
For what I reckon people would rate, 74 is fair.
Right, next we got J. Roy. Right, what rating do you think?
77, I'm going to go.
Yeah,
77?
77, yeah, I think that's...
Oh, you undershot him. He's an 80.
Oh, he's an 80.
80.
Mr. Pope.
Popey, I mean, he's got to be 82 minimum, I would say.
Actually an 88.
88.
88.
Sorry,
wow,
Popey.
we're miles off.
Did he help put the cards together, or what's going
Hey,
on?
it's from last year. Yeah, he put it borrowed. Got Tom Curran.
Early 80s, 82.
82.
Yeah, I don't mind 82.
You're very, very close.
83, yeah.
83.
83.
Chris Jordan.
It's just got to be the same, isn't it?
I would, yeah, I'm putting him 83 as
We'll go
well.
83.
He's an
81.
81. We got Jax.
We'll go 86 for Jaxie.
Go 86.
I can already tell based on this, he's going to be fuming.
Is it? No.
He's at 79.
Oh my.
He's like, you're
What a
like,
week,
oh,
what a week.
just have to be above an 80. And he's got a 79.
And he can't whack it. He's 78 on the whacking. And he's going to take that terribly.
It's quite funny, though.
We've next got Gus.
Should we go 85?
I think it'd be higher. 87.
We'll meet in the middle. 86.
Bang. The first one that
there
you've
you
got
go.
on the money. 86.
There you go.
Smith.
For me, like, obviously he took my job. So if he's like a 98, then that makes me feel a lot better. The 12 months he's had, he's going to be really highly rated. But looking at the other scores, maybe an 85 or an 86 again.
All right, well, you actually hit it with
85, there you go.
85 rated.
85.
We've got the last three.
The golden child at first and then us.
Sam Curran, do you think he is the highest rated?
Has to be.
I reckon he could be our first 90.
He's actually an 86. All right, I feel like the nicest way of doing this next one,
That means they're bad scores then.
I'm not going to show you. You're going to hold your own cards. Don't look,
Can I look at his?
right? All right, you can look at each other's. Do you think each
Really?
other will be happy with each other's scores?
I think you'll be happy with the eyes. They look fabulous.
They always do.
But I think your score, considering the board, I think Cricket 24 doesn't like you or respect you as a cricketer. That's what I was.
So based off of that,
Brilliant. I'm
what,
excited to have a look at this.
All right,
I reckon,
10.
I'll be mid-70s.
77.
I'll take
See what I
that.
mean by the eyes though?
Wow, yeah, good
Lovely.
mince pies.
Piercing.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. It's very respectable.
All right, now Ben, what are you thinking?
Probably a 76.
76.
76.
Yeah, that's being very humble.
Am
Have
I
a
higher
look.
than 76?
Have a look. You're actually an
82.
82.
So you think I'm better than Loz?
Let's have a look at your...
I feel like the only thing I'm known for is the 69, which is kind of puts my career into a bit of a bad place, but oh well. They've clearly never seen me bowl as a youngster.
All right, so this is your blind rankings. This is the actual order. All right, and boom, that is the actual setup of all the rankings. Do you think everyone's going to be happy with their scores?
Yeah, it's obviously a brilliant 11. I'd be pretty happy walking out on the field with that team.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us for this. And remember, if you want a chance of winning a signed Surrey shirt, an Xbox Series S, and 12 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, put hashtag #ScoreMoreWithXbox down in the comments. Thanks for joining us so much, boys.
No worries, thank you.
Thanks.
Hello and welcome back to the Kia Oval for Surrey's run chase against the Blaze. 170 to win the evening sun of South London. My name is Katya. I'm joined Hello and welcome to the Kia Oval. We're back for Surrey's run chase. They're chasing 170 for victory against the Blaze in the warm evening sunshine of South London. My name's Ponsonby. I'm joined by former and current and forever Surrey legend, Kirsty White, with Bryony Smith on strike. Dot ball to start proceedings. Cassie McCarthy with the new ball for the Blaze. A bit of a delayed return to being on air. Someone picked up the wrong headset. I don't know who it was.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel spot deja vu, actually, just listening to you speak then, but helps when you've got the right headset on and the right microphone turned on.
Everyone makes mistakes. 2 dot balls to start proceedings.
Yeah, nice tight line there from Cassidy McCarthy, actually. Just in and around that 4th stump line, slightly back of a length. Bryony Smith just trying to... This is kind of dangerous angle of the bat, really, because it's not really a cut and it's not really a punch off the back foot. Enticing that edge.
Good early swing on show from McCarthy. It's been a team effort with the ball so far this season for the Blaze. All of McCarthy, Catherine Bryce, Kirsty Gordon and Georgia Elwis have 3 wickets apiece as their leading wicket takers. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Charlie Phillips with ball in hand. She joined from the Sunrisers and she bowls quick.
Yeah, Kirsty McCarthy is swinging from the hand.
That's pulled out to the square leg boundary. The fielder underneath it, and that's out. And a dream start for the Blaze. Double fist punt from Catherine Bryce out in the deep. That's a massive wicket for the Blaze to send the Surrey skipper on her way. And well, we have a match on our hands here at the Kia Oval.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of disbelief kind of echoing around the ground. There's absolute silence in the stands. Maybe people haven't quite got back from having some food or picking up a drink from the bar, but the stands are in, I think, a little bit disbelief. Looking at this replay, that swung in off the hand, and I think it's just got a little bit tight on Bryony Smith. Catherine Bryce smartly placed about almost 20 yards in off the boundary. It's a very deep boundary out on that square leg for that reason, which brings Kira Chatley to the crease with Surrey 0 for 1 from 4 balls.
Well, interesting to see Chatley coming out at 3. We saw her batting at 3 against Durham, but that had the feel of giving everyone a bit of a go, making sure that all Surrey's players were seeing and hitting some balls. But she still comes out at 3 today, ahead of Paige Schofield and ahead of Grace Harris. With Surrey in a bit of trouble here at 0 for 1. Oh, that's quick from McCarthy, and she's getting that real dramatic movement into the right-hander. It's a very good start from the Blaze and from McCarthy in particular. See a replay here. Almost trapping and beating Chatley for speed more than anything. And the first over comes to an end. 0 for 1, a wicket maiden for the Blaze.
Yeah, that's a fantastic start for Blaze. Buzzing around in the field. Dream start for Blaze after what might have been potentially not quite the ending they would have wanted, having got through to 169 at the end of their batting innings. Real positive start here for the Blaze. Exactly what they would have wanted. Maybe feeling they left a few runs out there. As it looks like Kirsty Gordon will be opening the bowling from the pavilion end for the Blaze.
Opening the bowling from the pavilion end, Kirsty Gordon.
Well, we will have Kirsty Gordon bowling her slow left arms from the pavilion end. She's, of course, captain of the Blaze, leading from the front. Quite an interesting field. There's no one really behind square on the offside, so encouraging Wyatt Hodgej to potentially take a risk and reverse sweep. Well, they go for a quick single. I tell you what, Kirsty, I know they made it home, but I didn't like it.
I could tell you were almost hopping from left foot to right there. Never in doubt, not with Wyatt Hodgej running towards the non-striker's end. I think this field, as you've kind of alluded to, Cam, with no one behind square on the offside, means that Gordon's going to have to bowl very straight. as Kira Chatley has played that up in the air and taken a big, thick outside edge and is caught at deep, well, not deep backward point. An excellent catch there. I'm not quite sure who the fielder was. I think it was maybe Charlie Phillip going backwards and diving. And so many times we see those types of catches just pop out of the hand as the fielder goes to ground. So just watch this replay and how well this fielder does to hold on to that ball that's swirling and spinning over her shoulder. She says as the replay is just loading in here now. That ball is spinning over her shoulder and she's followed it all the way down. Fantastic catch here. Yeah, really well taken. Apologies, it was Michaela Kirk who took the catch, not Charlie Phillip.
Well, they're the hardest catches in cricket. Falling back, running backwards, falling backwards with the ball coming over your shoulder. You can see there the most important numbers of this match so far. Surrey 1 for 2 off 1.2 overs. This dream start for the Blaze continues. And while Catherine Bryce's catch in the deep was a simple one, it had to be held, and that was a stunner from Kirk at backward point. And these early wickets make that score of 169 seem that much bigger. It's all well and good going at 10 runs and over when you're setting a toast, but with run chase pressure, that rate can quickly get bigger. Well, it's bowled. It's gone straight through Schofield. And the Blaze are in dreamland. It's 1 for 3 here at the Kia Oval, and Schofield has a golden duck.
And Kirsty Gordon's on a hat-trick. Surely not.
Well, that one's just skidded on with the arm from Gordon. Sneaking through the bat and pad of Paige Schofield, who has been in such fine form this season. But she has to go. And this job is looking, well, not impossible, but sizable at the moment for Surrey. We'll see the replay here. Kirsty Gordon with the angle. Coming in to Schofield, straight through her, and off she goes in celebration.
Slightly quicker that as well, isn't it, Cam, from the hand, but drift in too.
Well, it's the difference and variation that Gordon is able to kind of play around with. The first delivery is taking the outside edge of Chatley's bat, looped over backward point, whereas this ball's beaten Paige Schofield on the inside edge. And again, more kind of fiddling around with the batting order. Phoebe Franklin out at 5 to face the hat-trick ball. And we're going to have a play around with the field as well. A slip comes into place. Well, she's on straight past slip and then is sent back to, no. We do want a slip in place.
You're the captain and you're on a hat-trick. You can have whoever you want, wherever you want, Kirsty Gordon.
Well, defended back down the ground. But the excitement is not over. The Blaze are well on top here. It's a remarkable start for the away side. And Surrey's unbeaten start looks severely under threat.
What I will tell you, Cam, is the Blaze are one of those teams that will certainly let you know the position that you're in case you weren't aware of what the scoreboard looked like. They've got 1 or 2 players that will just be in your ear constantly, just letting you know.
Franklin just looking to give herself some space there. And the second over comes to an end. Just 1 run on the board for Surrey, but 3 wickets for the Blaze. 1 for 3 is the score. That is correct in your bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Well, it looks like Cassidy McCarthy is going to continue. Grace Harris is still to come for Surrey. Kirsty, are you surprised to have not seen her come out at number 5 ahead of Phoebe Franklin, or indeed at number 4 or number 3?
I don't know really what to expect with Johan Myberg. Having experienced his coaching and his management, they've got a very fluid batting order. So, yeah, as much as I think it would have been nice to see Grace Harris, there's clearly a good reason why Phoebe Franklin has come out to the middle. Hopefully she's not got pad rash.
Oh, amidst all this carnage, we forget that Wyatt Hodgej is still out there in the middle. She's faced 1 ball and has scored the solitary run of this innings. Goodness me, I thought for a second it might have been sneaking through her defences there with the Yorker. She moves on to 2 off 2. She must be wondering what all the fuss is about. She's faced 2 balls, scored 2 runs.
Striking at 100.
At the other end, there's been 11 balls, 3 wickets, 0 runs.
Yeah. a little bit speechless. And it's not for the first time this season, but this time it's not the good kind of speechless. If you're a Surrey supporter, if you're a Blaze fan,
Of course,
oh, wow, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm obviously totally impartial over here.
I think you're allowed to be biased. Partial? Is partial a word?
I celebrate good cricket.
When Surrey do it. Oh, you see that angle again from McCarthy. This is really fantastic stuff from the seamer. And it's also the product of, with Kirsty Gordon's over, only going for 1 run and basically the ball not being struck, McCarthy is still able to extract that swing. Whereas if the ball had hit the advertising hoardings a couple of times, McCarthy's effectiveness might have just been blunted slightly.
Yeah, the light's just flicking on here as well at the Oval as the sun just dips below the pavilion. There's still a little bit of sun on the members in the Mickey Stewart members pavilion. So those lights will be coming into effect soon, and it's definitely not something that these Surrey batters are used to doing, playing under the lights. And Danny Wyatt Hodgej have played under the lights plenty. But conditions do change. The outfield gets ever so slightly greasy. The ball might skid on off the surface.
Well, the bluff set there by Cassidy McCarthy. She just fiddled with her field before that delivery, sticking 2 outs on the leg side, showing for a short ball, but targeting Franklin's stumps once again. She has been in good form with the bat of late, Phoebe Franklin. It's a couple of weeks ago now, but she had 58, 20 and 41. Scores of those of 58, 20 and 41 in succession. Saw that beautiful sun setting over the Kia Oval here in South London. That is short. Danny Wyatt Hodgej just takes a seat more than anything.
Yeah, I'd love to be inside Danny Wyatt's head now and just having a kind of listen to what's going through her mind in terms of how she's going to approach this innings now. She's got she always has an important role to play with this. She's going to be pivotal here now with regards to Surrey's success.
Well, there you go.
I think that's one answer, I suppose.
Easy does it. What's the problem? 3 for 3. Throw your hands through it. Lift it up over cover. Get the first boundary of the innings for Surrey. 3 overs gone. It's still not pretty reading for the home team. The score is 7 for 3. And they have a real battle on their hands. And we will have a change of bowler. Kirsty Gordon has come into the attack, taken 2 wickets and whipped herself off immediately.
Don't spoil your figures. Maybe she'd have stayed on if there wasn't a boundary at the end of the over. But Catherine Bryce coming into the attack now from the pavilion end. And if you thought Cassidy McCarthy was swinging the ball, then you've got another thing coming here with Catherine Bryce coming into the attack.
Well, she did something I've never seen before in the Blazers' last fixture. She replaced Grace Ballinger with the new ball, who had to go off injured after 1 delivery. And here she goes. She's going to do it here. She's going to bowl right arm around the wicket in swing. So despite the laws of physics, she's going to set that ball out to around off stump, and it's going to curve back to the right-hander. That was close enough.
Yeah, no. I had to re-watch the stream a few times to work out who was bowling, because for all intents and purposes, I thought it was a left armer. I did think it was Grace Ballinger, but no. I mean, it's a bold move because it does make an LBW difficult. However, she did take an LBW during that game. But it means, yeah, you can pretty much discount any runs through the offside. Unless she absolutely chucks one out outside off stump.
Well, I think that proves your point, to be honest. Danny Wyatt Hodgej has had to take that pretty much off the stumps to give herself some room. But I think Catherine Bryce's argument might be that by coming around the wicket, she brings LBWs back into play, because in her head, she's like, I'm an off spinner. I'm basically just pitching the ball in line. It's straightening and it's hitting the stumps.
Yeah, but then there's that element in the umpire's mind that, you know, if you're coming round the wicket as a right-hander and you're swinging the ball in, then if you're pitching on or leg, you're in the umpire's head. So they've got to make a big decision. Has it pitched in line? Is it missing? Is it swinging? Is it doing too much?
And that's short and wide and 4. Phoebe Franklin gets her innings underway in in proper fashion, as it were. She was on 1, she now moves on to 5. Just a bit of width on offer from Catherine Bryce. And this is the issue with this plan, is because when she loses her line slightly wide, the angle to be able to bring that ball back into the right-hander is so extreme. Batter able to just throw their arms through the ball. And I've made it my life's work to tell all umpires across the county of Surrey that if a right-hand off-spinner is bowling round the wicket, LBWs are more likely than less. It's something I passionately believe in. Well, one boundary has immediately prompted a change from Catherine Bryce. She hops herself over the wicket. Kirsty White grimaces. That's a very comfortable single. Is cantered through.
Just thinking hard. Yeah, I suppose. And I think the other thing with a right armour coming around the wicket is that angle is so far to the left of your eye line as the batter that you actually really have to open your stance to make sure that you have both eyes level and watching the bowler as they come in, which then obviously can potentially pull your hands around to the front of you and cause you to play cross-batted shots, leading edges. So it's a really difficult angle to work out as a batter when that ball's swinging into you as well. So actually in your setup, having to open your stance to make sure that you can access the channels that you need to.
Well, 4 overs gone, the score is 14 for 3, and that was exactly a question I was going to ask you. Is aside from the plans and the physics of it all, as a batter, it must just be something you never faced before. No one bowls right arm round the wicket in swing, as it were, and just the element of surprise, as it were, must play a role.
Yes, because you wouldn't think that, but actually you just have to think, well, actually just play them like a left arm in swinger.
McCarthy has got that ball hooping. You can tell, A, in the result of the delivery that the ball's still moving, and B, that the Blaze are aware of it because they're putting their chips on the table here and giving McCarthy a 3rd over in a row. And if the ball continues to swing, I wouldn't be surprised if she bowled out. Sorry, the Blaze look to hunt for these wickets early now and to try and kill the game. False start from McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Cam. I think it would be a real positive attacking move to bowl her out and bowl all 4 because, like you say, this ball is really, really doing bits. And will she have the impact towards the back end of the innings with slower balls and variations? That's a really well run single there by Phoebe Franklin, noting that the ball is going to just pass that mid-wicket that's on the 1 and fall to the, moving to the right of Michaela Kirk. She gets herself home safely.
I think if we batted together, Kirsty, one or the other of us would get run out all the time because we have opposite reactions whenever a ball is dropped into the ring somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard about you. From you.
I was going to say, I was honoured there. I was like...
From you, sorry, yes.
What reputation have I got for playing 9 for the 2s in the Surrey Championship? Hey, anyway, another massive in-swinging delivery from McCarthy. That's been chopped down into the ground by Danny Wyatt Hodgej. This is a fantastic spectacle the Blaze are putting on here this evening. Short. That should be a wide ball. It is, and the Blaze will be more than happy with that because it means that McCarthy hasn't kind of used up a delivery. Given her wicket-taking threat at the moment with Wyatt Hodgej on strike, it's a really crucial part of this match. We have to see on the screen there just how McCarthy's setting the ball in her hand. The scene pointing towards the right-handed Wyatt Hodgej. That time the ball hasn't swung, it's held its line. It's fielded out in the deep. Well, mix up in the middle. Missed run-out opportunity. Sarah Bryce, the wicketkeeper, can't believe what she's done. The throw was wide, and Surrey gets away with it.
Please excuse my squeaks on air. I thought that was it. I did really think that was the end of Danny Wyatt Hodgej then, and the only thing that maybe saved Phoebe Franklin from being run out was the... oh no, she did take her glove off it. The throw from the keeper actually looked like she threw it with her wicket-keeping glove on. It was that poor a throw.
That ball fielded, not cleanly, on the ring. But it's prevented from going for 4. Your mind just goes back to those couple of misfields from Surrey where balls slipped through the legs of a couple fielders and they went for 4 rather than just being 1. How they'd love to have those 6 runs it costs back now. See that run rate required, already above 10 and over. Cut out to that fielder in the deep again. It'll just be 1 run. Surrey need this ball to stop swinging. They might almost kind of opt to take an extra risk just to try and whack it effectively, to try and change the makeup of this ball, which means it's moving around so much. 5 overs gone. The score is 19 for 3 and the Blaze well and truly on top of this game.
Yeah, and notably, if Surrey is struggling to score boundaries here with only 2 fielders out of the ring, my concern is that when we come out of the power play at the end of this over, is our boundaries going to continue to be dried up? Where are they going to score their runs? Because, yeah, current run rate 3.8 and over, run rate required 10s. It only takes 1 over for them to get back in the game. You know, 1 good over with 4 boundaries, you know, and they could open their account and that could be it. But at the moment, I'm really struggling to see where those boundaries are coming from.
Well, there's one of them.
There's one. I think I did that at the start of the last over. Maybe I just need to keep saying these things.
Where are the boundaries going to be scored?
Where are the boundaries? Come on.
Well,
we're here to entertain.
Missed the carnage of this innings. Wyatt Hodgej is on 14 off 11 and ticking along. She has been in phenomenal form this competition. And there, Bryce just missing a line down the leg side. Wyatt Hodgej is able to help it on its way. Wyatt Hodgej made 74 of 36 in the fixture here on Sunday. He's got 3 50s in this competition already. That's a dot ball. And the Blaze will be well aware of the fact that, yes, they're on top. Yes, the score's 23 for 3. But also, yes, is that Danny Wyatt Hodgej is at the crease and Grace Harris is still to come.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And I think Danny Wyatt just needs to face as many deliveries as possible. And that's not taking anything away from Phoebe Franklin and her capabilities. But as I said previously, she's going to be the key here.
Swept. And it won't go all the way, but it will bounce twice before going for 4. Catherine Bryce just coming over the wicket. Maybe that ball's swinging a little bit less, because Danny Wyatt Hodgej was happy to get down on 1 knee and help it up over square leg.
Yeah, I love this from Danny Wyatt. And Catherine Bryce is the type of bowler that you have to approach thinking like a spinner. So if you treat her like a spinner, you then know that you can sweep, you can reverse, you can come down the wicket to her. And that's exactly what Danny Wyatt did so well on the weekend against Durham. Her sweeps were one of the strongest parts of her game. So she really capitalised there. And that's 2 boundaries from the over. Hopefully, this could be Danny Wyatt Hodgej opening her account.
Well, it's prompted a field change. Deep square leg drops out onto the boundary. It means long on is now in the ring. When Bryce goes short immediately, knowing she has that protection out on the leg side for the pull shot. And I just get the feeling, Kirsty, that a very exciting game of cricket is brewing. If Danny Wyatt Hodgej feels in the mood, and so too does Grace Harris, we could have a tight run chase ahead of us.
Yeah, I agree. And Bryony Smith threw the ball to Grace Harris in their bowling innings when she was searching for something, and she delivered. She bowled a really tight over and picked up a couple of wickets, which is exactly what she did against Hampshire, wasn't it? Was it Hampshire that she made her debut here? When she scored those
Yes, it was indeed.
vital runs and took 3 wickets. So she's a big game player, absolutely. She's here for a good time, not a long time.
I think we just had a contact lens issue with the skipper at mid-off. If I was Phoebe Franklin, I'd hit the ball to Kirsty Gordon right now. She gave it a go. Well, quick single to mid-on. Would you have taken that wrong, Kirsty?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. See, I wouldn't have done. We'd have been stuck in the middle again. The power play is over. It's 29 for 3. Kirsty, you on your way?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you very shortly again. Kirsty White is going to take a break. Katya Witney of Wisdom is going to replace her in the commentary box.
What's happening?
Everything's happening, Katya. Everything. We've got wickets, we've got runs, we've got near run-outs. It looks like we're going to have Kirsty Gordon back into the attack, which potentially suggests that the Blaze finally think the ball is just losing that bit of movement, that lot of movement it's had so far.
Yeah, you couldn't find two more opposite opening power plays than the Blazers and Surrey's so far.
So if 6 overs gone, the Blaze are now able to scatter their fielders. So 4 fielders are now on the boundary from long off all the way around to deep square leg. Franklin sweeps immediately, finds the fielder at deep square leg.
Yeah, we saw in the opening power play for the Blazers of the first ball of Tash Farron's spell, she got big movement in, but there was very little after that for the Surrey seamers, but it's hooping all over the place. Just wonder in the evening with the lights coming on, how much conditions here are working in Blazers' favour.
What a shot.
Incredible.
That is phenomenal from Wyatt Hodgej. That's the shot of a bully. Walking down the wicket, lumping it over the offside ring, and she's in the mood once again.
Yeah, and that's why Danny Wyatt Hodgej is one of the best T20 players in the world. That's dismissive, powerful, straight over the top. That's not good enough to bowl to me. Do it again.
See the sun there setting over the JM Finn stand here at the Oval. That's just behind us to our right as we're looking at the ground. It's driven hard down to long off.
One of my absolute favourite T20 batters to watch when she's in this kind of form, Danny Wyatt Hodgej. I love seeing that kind of arrogance from players who just know that what's being bowled isn't going to touch them in the form they're in. And Danny Wyatt Hodgej does that kind of arrogance so well.
Well, it all sets it up for an exciting next hour or so ahead. Franklin looks to go inside out as well. It will just beat the ring. Just 2 runs to Franklin's account, however, not the 4 and the power that Wyatt Hodgej had displayed a few balls earlier.
A bit of a risky shot.
Will these shots prompt change in field for Kirsty Gordon? No, she's sticking to her guns. That offside ring remains in place.
It's hard, because if you look what Blaze did when they were scoring those boundaries in the power play, they weren't so much relying on that power. They were really picking the gaps in the field and bisecting those fielders. But those early wickets that Surrey have lost, putting you so far behind the run rate, it does encourage you to put that power on the ball to find the boundary at all costs.
Well, Gordon has hopped over the wicket to Danny Wyatt Hodgej. Swept behind square. That's 6. This is superb from Wyatt Hodgej. And so far, the Blaze don't have an answer. She's on 30 off 17. The problem for her is her team are on 44 for 3 after 7. The Blaze may well be feeling it's get Danny Wyatt Hodgej, win the game. Wyatt Hodgej is so far potentially looking to win this game by herself.
Yeah, saying to Kirsty Gordon, you go around the wicket and I'm going to power you through the offside. Change your angle, you come over, and I'm going to help you round the corner and bunt you for 6 over the behind square boundary.
It's good stuff here at the Kia Oval on this Wednesday night. The first of 2 T20 fixtures here this week. The men are in action tomorrow. Against who? I cannot tell you, but I will be here watching it, so I'll let you know then. Right, Charlie Phillips has come into the attack. She's one to keep an eye on, both for this season and beyond. She was bowling with the England camp where they had a bit of kind of like an inter-squad training session practice, and I was watching some of the footage of that match back, and she was just bumping everyone. She was just bowling bouncers, and they're all wearing training kits. It looked very bizarre. But here she is from the pavilion end. And she starts with a bouncer, this time pulled into the leg side by Phoebe Franklin.
I don't actually think we see enough bouncers used in the women's game without that extra pace. It's not gone to as much, but it's something we should see more of.
Well, people talk about this regardless of whether it's men's or women's cricket. It's not so much the pace. Of course, there's an element of pace and the fear factor of a bouncer, but a well-directed short ball is just incredibly difficult to play. You've never heard anyone go, I really like it when people bounce it at my face.
Well, that's my point. I don't think in pathways in the women's game, bowling bounces is encouraged as much as it should be.
Well, here we go. You can see the ball in Phillips' hands there. It's cross seam. She has 4 fielders scattered across the leg side, all 5 in the ring on the offside. She's coming round the wicket, expect it to be short. Well, she goes for the Yorker. That's called a bluff, and she tricked me. She tricked me.
Yeah, deceived everyone.
It was going to be one or the other, wasn't it? Tried my best. Did my best Ricky Ponting impression there to tell you what was going to happen. Got it wrong. It's been a very fun bowling display so far from the Blaze. Smart from Danny Wyatt Hodgej. Phoebe Franklin caught in the middle there for a while. They thought about a run for a very long time. Would you have taken one there, Katya?
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
Risk it.
I thought I'd take one as well. Kirsty would have said no. We'd have been out. Kirsty said she'd have run it. Okay. We're all fine. We've all scored 1 run in the commentary box. That's short. How short? Short enough to be called a wide. Too short even.
It's a lovely exaggerated duck there from Danny Wyatt Hodgej, just to nudge the umpire.
Well, Gabby Brown signals 1 for the over there. She's joined out in the middle by Ben Peverell even. Beg your pardon, Ben. Surrey take a quick single there to the offside. So far, so good from Phillips. Just 4 runs conceded from the first 3 balls. And it's been a very fun, I think is the operative word, start from the Blaze. We've seen Charlie Phillips bowling round the wicket, bumpers. We've seen Cassidy McCarthy swinging the ball at pace. We've seen Catherine Bryce bowling round the wicket, right arm in swing. And we've seen Kirsty Gordon bowling some left arm tweakers. It's been a real attack of variety from the visiting team.
Yeah, and Blaze are one of the most, if not the most well-rounded side in the competition. Surrey have undoubtedly, for me, got the most power in their batting lineup in the competition, even without the England players. But Blaze's bowling attack is so well-rounded with that variety of spin and, like you said, with the different strengths of their seamers. It's one of the reasons why they were so good last year. And equally, I think Kirsty Gordon uses that variety extremely well.
They're able to take 1 run again. Crucially, Wyatt Hodgej is now off strike for the final ball of the over. And if Phillips can just get away here without going for a boundary, this will be a success for the Blaze.
See Wyatt Hodgej is slightly frustrated. She's very much setting up to tee off with all 3 stumps exposed, but she hasn't quite had the ball to do it in this over.
Back over the wicket to Franklin. That's well fielded at points. But a scrappy throw allows for 1 run to be taken. Nevertheless, I think the Blaze will be satisfied with that. Just 7 runs off it. They've stemmed the slight momentum that Danny Wyatt Hodgej had found in the last over or 2. After 8 overs, the score was 51 for 3. Surrey need another 119 for victory. The run rate just below 10 and over. What's required, 9.92 for every 6 deliveries bowled.
The other thing we can say about that variety and constant change-ups from Kirsty Gordon and the bowlers is that there's clearly a lot of runs to score on this pitch. We knew that before the start of the game, confirmed at the start of the Blazers innings. And we saw Surrey, well, you were very excited by that. There was no consecutive overs bowled by the same bowler at the same end.
That was fascinating. I think I was within my rights to be a...
Fascinating is completely the right word. And we're seeing that lead followed by Kirsty Gordon.
Georgia Elwes into the attack. That struck so firmly up to mid-off. Franklin gets off strike. I'll be Interested to see what Wyatt Hodgej does here against Elwes. Elwes, of course, a very more than competent bowler, but probably the most orthodox within this Blaze attack. Bowling stump to stump seamers. We see that deep extra cover is in place here to give herself protection to that really powerful drive that Wyatt Hodgej has. Heaves into the leg side. Has that got the legs? Yes, just. Wyatt Hodgej's heart would have been in her mouth there. Catherine Bryce was lurking and ready to take what could have potentially been a match-winning catch for the Blaze, but it just had the legs to sneak over what is a massive square leg side boundary.
Yeah, I was about to say, longest boundary on the ground. That actually hit it right into one of those corners. We were describing this boundary rope as, well, you said squash 50p piece. I'll go for a new fangled pound coin.
You know what? I think you're correct.
But it was right in one of those corners.
Well, one risk taken. Will Wyatt Hodgej go again? Just the pacing of Wyatt Hodgej's innings will be fascinating to see play out, because on the one hand, you need 10 and over. You've got to keep going, but on the other, she knows how important she is to Surrey's chances, and if she is able to get that boundary early on in the over, as she has done here, can she just knock one, leaving 8 runs scored off 4 balls? Well, this time she backs away. She's cut that off middle stump. She's scoring runs in every direction here, Wyatt Hodgej, and you can see how the fans are enjoying it as well. She moves on to 42 off just 23 deliveries. And Katya, I think if you're the Blaze, you don't know how to bowl at Wyatt Hodgej at the moment.
I think if you're the Blaze, you're trying to get it down the other end. It's like we saw from Elwes in Blaze's innings, that Elwes was the key. And once Elwes was starved of the strike a bit, that's when those wickets opened up at the other end. And that's what Blaze will have to hope that they can do here, unless they can find a way of getting Danny Wyatt Hodgej out. And you can see a long conversation here between Kirsty Gordon and Georgia Elwes, just deciding on the field. They're bringing that fielder. Oh no, they're changing over those fielders, making the boundary rider squarer.
Well, they've swapped it round, so extra cover is now conventionally in the ring and cover point is out on the fence.
Into the pitch from Elwes. And in the last fixture between these two sides in the Metrobank One Day Cup, Elwes, I believe I'm right in saying, took 3 wickets in that fixture. Do you know how I remember that, Cam?
Yeah.
I remember you being very excited that it was her first wicket.
I remember that.
In the One Day Cup.
I get excited about a lot of things. And Wyatt Hodgej has used her hands really quickly there. They'll think about 2, settle for 1. I think that's the right decision, because it means that Wyatt Hodgej gets to keep the strike. 9 overs gone. The score is 63 for 3. And I tell you what, given the score is 1 for 3, that's a better predicament for Surrey to be in now.
Yeah, great maths.
Thank you.
And that required run rate as well, they're just keeping it below 10.
See that incredible scorecard there. Smith, Chatley, Schofield, all gone without scoring. Wyatt Hodgej and Phoebe Franklin doing all the heavy lifting at the moment. And somehow, even with a scorecard that reads duck, well, 43 not out helps, duck, duck, Surrey are in this game.
Yeah, and with Grace Harris still to come, we have been saying that Danny Wyatt Hodge's job here is to get Surrey over the line, and undoubtedly it is, but there's still plenty of batting to come in this really powerful Surrey lineup. Got Grace Harris to come in as the overseas pro.
Well, Josie Groves is going to enter the attack. We're going to see some spin. And I've just got the scorecard up of these two's game at Beckenham. And you're correct, Georgia Elwes did take 3 wickets. Just a font of knowledge and information at all times.
Oh.
Well, that's a long hop. Don't bowl that to Wyatt Hodgej. That's 6 and got exactly what it deserved. So a difficult start to Groves' spell here.
Yeah, a loosener to open up from Groves, but unfortunately Danny Wyatt Hodgej is on strike, and unfortunately she's well into the 40s off not very many deliveries.
Well, you can see how much the Blaze are trying to think here, because Josie Groves is bowling leggies and she's immediately started round the wicket to Wyatt Hodgej. That one slipped out and was very short. That's short as well. Wyatt Hodgej will amble through for a single, but she sprinted to a 4th 50 in this competition. She's on 50 off 27. She salutes her teammates up on the balcony. But unfortunately for her, her job is potentially not even half done, because her team needs another 100 runs and she will need to get a lot of them.
Yeah, but we can see that required run rate crawling down with every over. Was up near 10s. Now just pulling down gently.
I think Franklin has to do everything she can just to get off strike here. Confusion.
Oh.
Well, Wyatt Hodgej hasn't been run out somehow. Franklin tapped the ball into the offside. Wyatt Hodgej wanted one. Franklin didn't. Franklin sent Wyatt Hodgej back, meaning she was the batter at risk. And we'll see the replay here. Out. This time, Franklin has to go. And Groves, after a difficult start to this over, gets her name in the wickets column. And Phoebe Franklin's stay of 16 off 23 comes to an end. While it may look like she struggled to find her rhythm and her tempo there, given she came in at 1 for 3, she's done an excellent job at supporting Wyatt Hodgej and have set Surrey up in this game. Because one imagines, and you can see her name on screen there, she strides out to the middle. It is now showtime. Grace Harris and Danny Wyatt Hodgej are in the middle, taking on this Blaze team. And if anything, the match now starts proper.
Yeah, this is the game right here, this partnership. Grace Harris, one of the best strikers in T20 cricket. Fireworks are about to start.
I'm excited.
Fireworks from both ends.
I'm excited, Katya. I'm looking forward to the show we're about to be presented with, whether that means the Blaze nabbing these two excellent batters, or whether you're just looking at the skyline here at South London. It's a beautiful evening here in Vauxhall. It might get, oh, it just became a little bit prettier for the Blaze. How's that for a line? Terrible, awful. Right, Josie Groves got 2 balls left of her over. Grace Harris is in the middle.
Nice of Danny Wyatt Hodgej just to give us a little bit of chance to catch our breath. Those last 2 balls with the missed run out and then the wicket, and now Grace Harris. Just a bit of calm brought to proceedings.
Well, Harris started her Surrey life with a 60. She then got 4 off 2 in her second innings. This is her third. And that is a real rank delivery. So she gets a free beat to begin with. That's 4 more runs to Surrey's total.
Yeah, I should have known that as soon as it came out of her hand. Straight across Grace Harris. Similar from a different angle to the ball that Danny Wyatt Hodgej got at the start of the over. That one was straight down Danny Wyatt Hodgej's offside. This one across Grace Harris. But it's the same result. Another boundary.
A real mixed bags from Groves so far. She finishes with a good one. The 10th over is complete. The halfway stage of this run chase has arrived. The score is 74 for 4. And the equation's simple. Surrey need 96 runs to win off the last 10 overs. They have 6 wickets in hand.
Simple, but it's been anything but so far. Been a real game of, it's not so much ebb and flow, it's more a wrestle, to be honest, of wrestling that initiative away from each other.
Well, something to be wary of, and we made this point in the Blazers innings. I'm pretty sure no one else in this Surrey team has batted yet this competition. I'll need to go and double check that.
Problem's having a good side, isn't it?
Exactly. Four more. Just how do you bowl to Danny Wyatt Hodgej? Wherever the Blaze are putting it, she has an answer. And her march towards potentially 3 figures continues. She's now on 54 of 28. But with Kirsty Gordon coming over the wicket, trying to prevent Wyatt Hodgej from accessing that offside, she gives herself room and powers it through the covers.
She's gone for a lot of runs so far, Kirsty Gordon. There's some more.
We've got to remember as well, her first over went for just 1 run. So her second Well, goodness me, you're going to test my maths here. She's gone 5 here, 16, so her second went for 15.
Changing up the angle again. Trying everything here, Kirsty Gordon.
Really good start from Gordon to Harris. So, Surrey's season so far, 4 wins from 4. They started their season with an 8-wicket win against Somerset. They then made 213 against Hampshire. 213 for 4, I believe. They beat Lancashire by 2 runs on Duckworth-Lewis, but that was a shortened match, so not many people got a go in that instance either. Then they beat Durham by 9 wickets. So 1 more wicket. You've got people who've been sat on the bench for a week or 2, expected to come in and go at close to 10s. Gordon back over the wicket to Wyatt Hodgej. She goes again. She finds the boundary again. Katya, I mean, if you're the Blaze, what can you do?
Beyond waiting for Wyatt Hodgej to miscue one or make a mistake, I'm not sure, and she doesn't look like she's going to. This is the most power we've seen all night when you look at Wyatt Hodgej here. Fast hands, whipped through into the offside, placement, everything.
Well, that is not the end of the over, but it has prompted a field change. So that one fielder has dropped out onto the offside boundary, bringing deep square leg up. Wyatt Hodgej will be thinking about the sweep. Instead, she hammers it down to long off and takes 1 off the last ball of the over to keep the strike. She's on 60 off 31. The score is 85 for 4 off 11. Let's have a look at some of Wyatt Hodgej's boundaries. She has just been superb throughout. I'd like to say it's been power and precision, but for the most part, it's been sheer brutality from Surrey's opener. That was arguably the pick of the bunch. Running down at Kirsty Gordon and lifting her up over the covers. That was a freebie. But otherwise, she has been perfect.
Yeah, and England's loss is Surrey's gain. Wyatt Hodgej, of course, not included in that ODI squad, which is why she's available in the blast for Surrey at the minute. Still in the T20 squad, and you can see why.
Look at that. It's beautiful here at the Kia Oval. Get yourself down. Where are you? Don't turn the stream off, but you can come and watch the match live. Charlie Phillips from the pavilion end. Short to begin with. It's given us 1 for the over.
Again, Wyatt Hodgej just prompting the umpire there.
Just to clarify, are we sure we're happy? Because now Wyatt Hodgej knows you can only bowl 1 bouncer, well, you can only bowl 1 delivery and over that goes over the batter's shoulder height. So now that that has been used up with the first delivery, Wyatt Hodgej knows for a fact that nothing will be coming towards her head again. And if so, it's a no ball. Caught a huge moment in this match, held on to by Cassidy McCarthy at backward point. It looked like it was travelling to the boundary, but instead, well, the Blaze may have just secured this match because Wyatt Hodgej was on fire, but now she has to go.
Yeah, and that's a mistake from Wyatt Hodgej. She hit that with such power, but straight to the fielder. That was a ball that could have gone to the boundary. It was there to hit, but straight into the hands of that fielder on the ring. And now the Blaze are straight back in the game.
Well, she knows. She knows how important a moment in the match that is. She's done, on most days, she's done her part. On today, she's done her part as well. We see here the replay slashing that ball, making width. I don't think McCarthy had any choice but to catch it, unless she wanted to be impaled, basically. But it brings Kalia Moore to the crease, and her and Grace Harris have a big job to do.
Shouldn't underestimate how much Phillips' last over built our wicket as well. We saw Wyatt Hodgej struggle to get her away with those bouncers. And it's the second over, and that build-up of pressure under that bowler, under the same bowler, sorry.
Well, Kalia Moore comes to the crease. She hasn't batted this season in the Vitality Blast. Her last innings was on finals day, the T20 County Cup, where she made an unbeaten 22. I imagine Surrey will be trying to divide this total in two. There's 85 to win. You're saying, Grace, you get half of them, and we'll get the rest. On the money immediately from Phillips.
Brilliant first half of this over. No runs and a wicket. That's exactly what the Blaze ordered.
Well, Wyatt Hodgej has dominated this innings so far. Surrey are on 85. 60 of those belong to Wyatt Hodgej. You can see there on your screens the run rate required, exactly 10 and over. More brilliant fielding from McCarthy at backward point. He's putting on a bit of a clinic today. First with ball in hand, and now in the field.
And if they lose this game, Surrey will question those errors they had in the field. Blaze showing the difference they can make. That run rate hasn't been above 10 for a while. And now it's crept up into those double figures. They won't be worried yet. Grace Harris at the crease. If it ticks up too much further, that'll be when they start to get nervous.
Well, that'll be a leg by. They jog through for one run. It is such was Wyatt Hodgej's kind of domination from one end. It was easy to forget just how far ahead on paper that the Blaze are in this game. Now you see the scorecard, 87 for 5, 10, run rate of 10 required. Only 5 wickets in hand. Surely that's the Blazers' game, but as you mentioned, Grace Harris is in the middle. Well, appeal for caught behind. Not given, and we'll carry on, but a mighty fine over from Charlie Phillips comes to end. Potentially match defining with the wicket of Charlie Phillips. No, not the wicket of Charlie Phillips. She got the wicket. It was Danny Wyatt Hodgej who had to go. And after 12 overs, the score is 87 for 5.
Yeah, brilliant over, as you say. Could be match defining. And with Danny Wyatt Hodgej not there anymore, suddenly it feels slightly more calm. As you say, Blaze far ahead on paper, but when you've got someone who you know what Danny Wyatt Hodgej can do, at the end, it doesn't matter what the equation is. It's going to feel dangerous.
Georgia Elwes is going to come back and have a bowl. Be interesting to see how Grace Harris takes the attack to her. We have a swap in the commentary box. Katya is on her way. Kirsty's come back. If you want to hear more from Katya, make sure to tune into the Over and Out podcast after play. Me and her will be reviewing this fixture. Kirsty, how are you feeling?
I'm optimistic.
Okay.
Georgia Elwes is going to bowl tight lines here. She's going to bowl stump to stump. She's going to give no width, and then she's going to kind of flip between pace on and her variations.
Well, Moore's got that down to long on. I'm not really sure how.
No, interesting. But effective. Little shake of the hand. I think it's come off the toe of the bat as well.
I don't know.
That felt particularly nice.
It seemed to ping fairly well for it to come off the
didn't it?
bottom of the bat. I think I'm just going to ignore that ever happened, to be honest.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, decisions to be made here for Harris. Surrey need 10 and over, but she's so important. How early does she take her risk? Well, that early.
Yeah.
And she almost pays the price. Well kept by Sarah Bryce. That ball just stayed a little low.
I wouldn't dream of telling Grace Harris how to bat.
Give it a go.
But I'd like to see her hit the ball hard on the floor for boundaries.
Oh, that's quick from Elwes. It's a good change-up. I think given she isn't the fastest bowler going on the circuit, the fact she does even bowl a short ball means you're not expecting it.
Yeah, she's got a sneaky bumper, and she usually bowls it cross seam as well, just so it gets a little bit more lift as it obviously hits the deck. So, yeah, she can surprise you. She's got a few tricks up her sleeve.
Well, Moore's back on strike with her magic bat, which did something weird the last ball she faced. And this time she bunts it down conventionally down the ground. Just be one run. Just a period of calm here in this innings, which suits the Blaze just fine. Keep an eye on that run rate required, because it will be sneaking up well, sneaking is the wrong word there. He'll be racing up in no time at all.
We never want it to get to 2 a ball.
Grace Harris there, getting a bit ugly. She's standing right in front of her stumps. That ball was outside off, and she's kind of hacked it across the line for 1. It does mean she keeps the strike. 7 overs to go. The score is 92 for 5.
Yeah, and there's 42 balls remaining. So at some point, Grace Harris is going to have to make a decision where she takes the game on and says, right, you know, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down trying. So the last thing they'd want is to fall short, having not really had a good bite at the cherry. So I think, yeah, that in the next few balls, I would expect to see something here.
See yet more beauty shots of the sun setting behind the gem and Finn stand. Josie Groves is back into the attack to bowl some leggies. And that's short. Fielder interested, but a misfield means it goes for 4. We were just talking about when Harris might take that risk. The opportunity might be given to her here, with the Blaze taking a risk themselves and opting for the wrist spin of Groves. On the one hand, it means that wicket is slightly more likely. You might be able to buy it. On the other hand, he has bowled a couple of loose deliveries, and there's a third one that goes to the boundary.
Yeah, I think that was quite poor fielding there from Michaela Kirk on the boundary. I think Blaze will be disappointed with that.
Straight. And 6. This could be the over that Surrey need. The Blaze have taken a risk turning back to their young leggy, and so far it's not paying off.
Yeah, and just going back to Michaela Kirk, the ball before, that's a gun barrel straight shot, no effort whatsoever. I'd love to have a feel of some of those bats that Grace Harris has got, but deep backwards square leg after that delivery. Michaela Kirk was standing with her hands on her head thinking, if I'd kept that to 1, she wouldn't have even been on strike.
She's come round the wicket. Goodness me, she's almost managed to chop that back onto her stumps. She has a little bit of a word for herself. She gives her bat a cuddle, which I'll do as well, given how cleanly she's striking the ball. Lifted towards long on. Is long on in the game? Oh. Yes, that's out, and that could be the match for the Blaze. Harris went for a 3rd boundary of the over, but she doesn't find it. Instead, she finds the hands of Marie Kelly on the rope. And the Blaze now have 6 of Surrey's wickets, and they have the 2 big ones of Harris and Wyatt Hodgej. And they have, well, 1 hand on victory.
Or do they?
Or do they? Good point. Could there be a twist in the tail? Kirsty, that is effectively why the Blaze brought Groves back on. They've bought another wicket. They knew there was the risk of a couple of poor deliveries that go for boundaries, but the change of action, the natural variety you get from a leg spinner comes into play.
Yeah, and just that angle coming around the wicket really just strangles Harris, and she's really had to kind of dig that out from underneath her and couldn't quite generate the power and get her arms through it as much as she would have had the bowler been coming over the wicket. So it's very smart from Groves.
Well, the last 2 times these teams played, we had a very similar situation to this, where the game looked like it was gone before a remarkable lower order effort saved a tie for Surrey. And the player on your screen now, Rihanna McDonald Gay, played a large part in that. So when people, such as myself, might have wondered whether this game was over, don't for 1 second think it is.
Yes, definitely don't. Keep your eyes on this game, because anything can happen and it can change in a heartbeat. So Rihanna McDonald Gay and Katya Moore have both got Surrey and Stars in the past out of some very sticky situations.
That's heaved down the ground for a single.
Yeah, I think Moore will be disappointed that she's not managed to put that in the gap between mid-wicket and long on there. I think that probably should have been 4. You can see that she's visibly disappointed at not picking up the boundary there. But nonetheless, a good over still from Surrey, starting with 10. And then obviously picking up 2 singles towards this, so 12 off of it.
12 off it, but crucially the wickets as
Yeah.
well of Grace Harris. There's 6 overs to go here. Scores 104 for 6. Surrey needs 66 off the remaining 6 overs, so exactly 11 an over required. Almost at that 2 runs at ball mark that Kirsty referred to earlier. We're going to see Cassidy McCarthy, who bowled brilliantly well with the new ball and took the crucial catch of Danny Wyatt Hodgej as well. She'll finish off here, hunting for the 7th wicket. She almost finds it immediately.
Yeah, executing her skills superbly here. The pressure is on the Blaze bowlers here. I don't think the pressure's off at all. You know, two boundaries in an over, and the game again is on its head. So starting with the dot will definitely settle McCarthy back into this over.
Well, that could be one of the boundaries. The fielder in the deep chases after it, and that's fantastic work. But no, she signals it went for 4. Josie Groves put a quid in the honesty box, because from here, well, it looked like she'd done all right. I'll have another look on the replay. But there is one of the 2 boundaries that you're referring to, Kirsty.
Yeah, and hats off to Josie Groves here for that. Honestly, I think she might have done herself out of 2 runs. Yeah, 2 runs there, because that looked pretty clean actually from the replay. But fair play to her.
Well, 4
Spirit of Cricket
given.
award to the Blaze. Never thought I'd say it.
Well, playing a miss there. What's the story of the Blaze then? They're just a chatty bunch?
I think they're just a bit of a nemesis. I think they've previously with Stars, I think the Vipers were Stars' nemesis, and they were the team that they could never quite get across the line with. And obviously in recent times in cup games, they've lost to the Blaze a couple of times. So yeah, just that.
Oh, that's really stayed low. I think McCarthy has gone to bowl an off-cutter there, but the ball's hardly got above shin height.
It's just stopped, hasn't it? And it's got away with just going for 1 as well.
I mean, try and hit that. What are you going to do with this?
Yeah, that's about 30 miles an hour, isn't it? Oh,
What on
and
earth
it's
is that?
really cut off the surface as well.
You see her having a little bit of a laugh and a giggle.
She meant
Try
to do
that,
that,
do that
sure.
again.
Yeah,
I thought she did until she started smiling. What's another change-up? That's really well bowled from McCarthy, who's having an absolute day out at the moment. I thought the point of kind of cricket in the modern age is you all knew each other too well to have a sledge and a joke at each other's expense. Or is that not the case?
Well, yes, but there's always white line fever, isn't there?
That's true.
There's always that. You know, it's off the pitch, you can be the best of friends. On the pitch, you can be might be your alter ego. No bounce again there. More sets off quickly, but there's definitely just going to be 1. Disappointment there from the Surrey girls.
End of the 15th over, 110 for 6, and we have reached that point. 60 to win off 30. It is 2 runs a ball required now. The Blaze will be feeling in firm control of this match as it currently stands.
Yeah, it pains me to agree with you there, Cam, that they certainly will be, but it's their game to lose now. So 2 very young batters at the crease here, both very much in their early 20s, so they can play with freedom. That beauty of youth that we spoke about earlier when Alice Capsey was on with us. So Catherine Bryce comes back into the attack, the pavilion end.
Well, still to bat, we have Tash Farrance, who has opened the batting for Surrey.
Forgot about that.
But she hasn't had a hit in a fair while.
Well, I'm a big advocate of best when fresh.
Absolutely.
She certainly proved that with her bowling. She's pulled out a 90, a couple of 90s, a few 50s when she was batting for the Stars. Jobs for these 2 to do at the moment. 1s won't cut it. They do need over 2 a ball. Just don't want to die wondering.
The problem for Surrey as well is that after Farrance, it's Tilly Courtine-Coleman and Danny Gregory, who aren't renowned for their skills with the bat.
No, but I think they'd rather be bowled out trying to win than and being conservative.
I mean, it'd be a strong play to go for the losing draw from here in the blast.
And it's not all about power here. So Katya Bryce has, you know, both fielders up inside the ring behind square. So she's going to go to those change-ups and those slower balls more often than not. She's going to bowl full and she's going to bowl straight. So that lateral movement around the crease is going to be really important here for these two batters in order to access those areas of the ground that are currently plugged by that straight ball.
Well, a single to finish. An excellent over for Katya Bryce and the Blaze. It's just getting that more and more difficult for Surrey here. 55 to win off 24 balls. How's the Parliament there in the distance? You see here the tail of the tape so far. Georgia Ellis and Marie Kelly got the Blaze off to an absolute flyer. They were 92 for no loss before Surrey made their first breakthrough. The home team fought back in the second half of the innings to restrict them to 169, but at the moment it looks like 169 is going to be more than enough. Again, it's just a single for Surrey. This they're not going to do.
Yeah, one thing that the Blaze bowlers have done today that the Surrey bowlers haven't is they've bowled with pinpoint accuracy and they've absolutely executed their plans. You know, when they finished, they probably would have felt that they'd left a few runs out there, but they've really backed their total with their bowlers.
Another long one taken out. The fielder at deep square leg.
The walking sweep.
The walking sweep. Fine iteration of the shot. No, we haven't had a boundary in a number of overs now.
I think a boundary will settle these two, but they're not going to make it easy to score one. Thought I'd almost willed that one again.
Gonna work in mysterious ways. I feel like every criticism you make at the cost of Surrey is kind of veiled as an attempted jinx.
Mm.
It's really frustrating me that Georgia Ellis has one of the letters of a sponsor missing. The next time you see her on screen, keep a keen eye out. Again, it's bat on ball, but it's just one run. Now Surrey need 51 off 20, and the Blaze are cruising at the moment. Well, sharp work from Sarah Bryce behind the stumps. She did, however, lob the ball over a mate at cover's head, who's had to go scampering after it.
Georgia Ellis will be really happy with her figures, having taken such a long break from bowling. Those back issues.
Well, they might have found a gap here. Will Moore be able to get back for two? No. And another over passes without a boundary being scored. The writing is on the wall, I fear, here for Surrey, unless something dramatic is about to take place. The score is 120 for 6 after 17. Exactly 50 runs are required for a Surrey win, but just 18 balls remain.
Yeah, you can see the frustration on these two's faces and just in the way that they're carrying themselves. They can't get anything but singles at the moment for love nor money, and it's definitely not through the lack of trying. So this over, expect to see fireworks or wickets, I'd probably say.
Well,
they've got full licence.
We've got the right bowler for that combination of events. Charlie Phillips is going to run in. She'll bowl quick. She won't be scared to send down a short ball or two. Well, what a lovely shot that is. McDonald Gay, with all her class there, knocks the ball back down the ground, past the stumps, and a very necessary boundary for Surrey is scored. Have a look at this. A couple of steps down the ground, a full flow of the bat, and that's 4.
That's one for the over.
That's 2 for the over.
Here we go.
Well,
Buckle up, everyone.
we mentioned the right bowler was in the attack for boundaries and or wickets. Charlie Phillips has bowled excellently well today. She got the crucial wicket of Danny Wyatt Hodgej, but with extra pace on the ball, there's the opportunity for extra pace off the bat. And McDonald Gay has started well here. 2 boundaries in a row, and we have fielders flying everywhere, Kirsty.
Yeah, now unless this is a bluff, I think we might be having a short ball here. So fine leg has gone back and they're very, very fine. And deep backward square is very much behind as well. Coming around, oh, this is going to be a horrible tight angle if it is a bouncer. Oh, that's very well bowled, Charlie Phillips.
McDonald Gay's kind of like whipped her leg out of the way. The result, it's a top ball. I've really enjoyed seeing Charlie Phillips bowling today.
Yeah, that was an excellent delivery. She's gone toes. Really tight angle there for McDonald Gay, who I'm sure will appreciate the bowling effort as a bowler herself.
She goes to the ramp. She gets it. There's a 3rd boundary of the over, and that is superb batting from McDonald Gay. Just when we thought this match was over, Surrey breathed life back into it. It still requires a special effort, but we're witnessing a special effort in front of our eyes right now.
Yeah, don't look away. It's getting spicy. Just trying to make it a bit interesting, you know, keep the viewers on their toes.
Strikes me as well that Heather Graham has not been used with the ball. Top edge, fielder interested.
Oh,
out.
Gosh, well held.
And
That was
McDonald
doing a
Gay's
lot.
fun is over. Charlie Phillips plays her role. A few boundaries flew off the bat, but on this occasion the extra pace does the trick, and the top edge sails down the throat of fine leg. Is it over now, Kirsty? Is there still hope?
Of course there's still hope.
There's always hope.
I don't think Michaela Kirk looked too enthused at that ball spinning at her from a height. It almost, from where we're standing, looked as though she was thinking, oh, God, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. And also, I think she was very worried about how close she was to the boundary. Just keep your eyes on Michaela Kirk as this is coming towards her. Ooh, ooh. No, you're safe. Well held.
It was safe enough in the end, and that's almost gone for 6. You see on the replay how high up on the bat that has taken kind of McDonald Gay's top edge, and still almost went for 6, and that speaks to the pace that Phillips is bowling at. Well, Tash Farrant, time to be a hero. 38 off 13, your first hit in almost a year. What's the problem?
No problem. Don't know if they forgot that she's left-handed, as square leg has come up into the ring, and now everyone's walking towards the ring, and no one seems to know where they're going.
Well, we're working it out slowly together. So there is a deep mid-wicket in place. It is an unusual field. It does make sense. You can bowl to this field with the left hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it's quite hard to tell you what the field changes are when 11 people are kind of shuffling around, but we've settled. We have a fielder at deep third and deep point. Farrant goes to the reverse sweep. First up, gets 4. What a way to announce your return. 1 ball faced, 1 boundary scored. The Surrey dream lives on. It's 34 required off the last 2. Have a look at this.
Get her up the order. What a shot.
Well, Michaela Kirk, after taking the catch in the last ball, fails to stop the ball on the boundary's edge here. We'll see that on the socials later.
Oh, absolutely. That'll be a repost, I'm sure. Surely that'll be a story highlight.
That could be a collaboration.
34 to win from 12 deliveries. Certainly doable.
Well, an over of spin to be bowled by the skipper, Kirsty Gordon. They're going to just run. They're going to take a risk.
Oh.
And that's given. Well, the ball did end up in Sarah Bryce's hands. Farrant felt the need to take a risk.
Barrett didn't look convinced there, did she? She gave a glare to the square leg umpire as if to say, I'm not sure you've got that one right, umps.
Well, I must admit, I was tricked by the white bail flying as Bryce took the ball. I thought the ball had split through her hands, but if she's taken that cleanly, I think Farrant did have to go. But on the scorecard, what an innings that is. 4 off 1.
400 strike rate, lovely.
Jobs are good, and there are WPL deals to be secured with strike rates like that. Right. Well, if it was unlikely before, it's got that little bit more unlikely now. We'll see a replay here. Farrant sets off immediately.
Okay, yeah, she's gone.
I think that is just out.
Excellent dive, though.
She picks the kind of slick side wicket as well, just to get a bit of momentum. See there, that yellow sky turning to pink now behind the JM Fin stand. 136 for 8. 34 required off 11. Be Danny Gregory on strike. Well, poked up towards cover. That could be out as well. No, they are able to just make it home safely.
Yeah, just racing through there. Danny Gregory incredibly quick off the mark. One of the quickest players in the Surrey team. Desperate to get Katya on strike. As this goes in the air and is parried over the rope for 6. Another twist in the tail. Moore hits that straight down the ground. Should have been a wicket for all intents and purposes. Should have been a clean take, but Marie Kelly just parries it over the rope for 6 runs.
Well, it's a much simpler chance than she had to dismiss Grace Harris. She goes to reverse, and this time it's bowled. Is it bowled? What's happening here? Kirsty Gordon points to the ball. Katya Moore walks off. She is out.
What's happening?
Can confirm she's out bowled. Those are the rules of the sport. If the bowler bowls the delivery, it hits the stumps, the batter has to go. For whatever reason, Kirsty Gordon had a little point at the stumps or something or other. And I was going to say, just when Kelly parried that ball for 6, that just whenever the Blaze seemed to have secured this match, they let Surrey back in. That's hope been snuffed out. See here on the replay, Moore goes for the reverse.
I think it's actually clipped the inside of her pad and carried it onto the stump as well with a bit of a nutmeg. Not a nutmeg. I wouldn't claim that one. And brings out for the first time this season Tilly Courtine-Coleman. The left-handed Tilly Courtine-Coleman.
Well, just the 1 wicket remains for Surrey. And they're still a fair few runs short.
I have seen her hit a long ball in training.
Well, she'll get 1 to open her account for this season. That's the end of the over. 2 wickets in it for Kirsty Gordon. She'll have had kind of easier nights. Her first over, she took 2 wickets and conceded just 1 run. Her following 3 overs, well, she's gone about 10s in her last 3 overs. I'm sure she took 2 wickets in her first over. I think that scorecard's wrong. I believe she's taken 4 wickets. Otherwise, Surrey wouldn't have been 1 for 3. But the end result is it's 26 to win of the last over. And Catherine Bryce, the ICC Associate Player of the Year, no less. She's going to bowl Blaze to the conclusion here.
I think Blaze will be disappointed if they don't manage to bowl Surrey out here.
There's 1 to the total. So now 25 off 5. It is still a mathematical possibility. Dot ball here, and we'll be requiring oversteps and wides.
Could you imagine? 5 6s.
It will just be a 4-point win if the Blaze close this out. Sorry, I've gone past the total needed for the Blaze to secure a bonus point. Chips over Bryce's head. Have a bit of that, says Danny Gregory. And in reply, Marie Kelly saves the boundary. Look at us all getting overexcited. There's a lovely shot from Gregory, 2 runs scored. It does mean we now need a 6 every ball from Danny Gregory. Have you stopped believing yet, Kirsty?
Never. Journey. Don't stop believing.
It's a beautiful shot from Gregory. Clipped into the leg side. That will be 4 on this occasion. And well, Danny Gregory, it's a little gem she's playing here, but unfortunately it will most likely be too little too late. But look at the timing on this, Kirsty.
Yeah, that's beautiful. This is something that Danny Gregory is definitely capable of, but so often when she comes to the crease, usually we see her kind of go within herself. So to see her actually playing with a little bit of freedom and almost just saying, do you know what, got nothing to lose, let's give it a go. I love to see her do this a little bit more often. See how many they can chip off towards that total.
Well, they'll scamper through for 1.
And I think it'll really frustrate the Blaze here to not bowl Surrey out and have that complete performance. And actually, if Surrey pick up 2 more boundaries, that will really, really frustrate them. And I think it's important here that Surrey finish well, you know, having lost 3 wickets in the power play and being 3 for 2, 3 for 1.
Well, they are bowled out. Danny Gregory searching for a run that didn't exist, and Catherine Bryce is left with the simplest of tasks to walk up to the stumps, knock the bails off and secure the Blaze victory by 17 runs. It's the first defeat of the year for Surrey, and this top of the table clash ends up in the hands of the Blaze. It's been a fantastic match here at the Kia Oval, set up by superb batting by Marie Kelly and Georgia Elwis, before Surrey looked to be right in it in the run chase, looking with just 170 to win, but it proved to be 17 runs too many. Kirsty Wyatt, what are your main takeaways?
Yeah, congratulations to the Blaze. They were the better team with bat and with ball and in the field today. So yeah, hats off to them. It was a deserved victory. Surrey, you know, if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, tradition tends to say that you tend to go on and lose the game. And they lost 3 wickets within 12 balls. So, you know, an excellent fight back. And kudos to Danny Wyatt Hodgej for her performance with the bat. To get Surrey into a position that they could, you know, challenge for this score, but unfortunately, just it wasn't meant to be today. So
we'll have a look at the cards from the second innings. First up, it's batting card of Surrey. And the tail of the tape is right at the top there. 3 ducks for the top 4 of Surrey. Bryony Smith, Kira Chatley and Paige Schofield all went without scoring. It was 1 for 3. Can you believe it? But Danny Wyatt Hodgej gave the home team hope with 60 off 33, but unfortunately no one was able to stick with her for long enough or batting fast enough in effect. The bowling card, imagine we'll see the Blaze figures next. Well, where to start with these? Cassidy McCarthy, her figures may not look that impressive, 1 for 17 off 4, but she bowled with pace, she bowled with a lot of kind of in-swing movement. She got the ball to talk. And Kirsty Gordon, 3 for 35, but that only tells half the story. Her first over, she took 2 wickets. And only went for 1 run, which put Surrey so far back in the game. Eventually, Charlie Phillips was able to claim another couple of important wickets, such as Danny Wyatt Hodgej, who was caught at point. And here's the match summary. Overall, the Blaze win by 17 runs. Again, bringing to an end Surrey's unbeaten start. It's the first defeat in the competition for Surrey, and the Blaze a full value for it. That's it from the Surrey live stream. Thank you to Kirsty and Katya and all the team for sorting out this evening. We'll be back tomorrow night for the men who are in action again here against Kent. We're expecting more than 20,000 down, so if you don't have a ticket, make sure to tune in on the live stream. Thank you for watching tonight, and we'll see you and speak to you again very soon. Good night.